Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the last day of this International E-Conference, ETBT 2020. Today, we are really happy to say that this 3 days conference is really going very well, and we really acknowledge the participation of all the delegates from all over the world for their enthusiastic participation and presentation and making this event very grand. Today, before proceeding with the today's session, I just want to do few announcements. The first thing is that at the end of this conference, we will share the feedback link through your registered email, and all the participants need to fill the feedback form. And after that, they will get the e-certificate. And very soon, we will give you the e-abstract book as well on the registered email ID. Okay. And now I will request Ms. Samishka Kandir from Nepal to introduce our patron from the Nepal, that is Mr. Dr. Rishi Shaha. I will ask Samiksha to introduce and welcome sir.
Good morning and namaste to all of you. So we are at the end day of this session. I'd like to welcome you all who are joining us online. So today we have our senior most Sir Dr. Engineer Rishi Keshav Bikram Saha addressing our session. Let me give you a brief introduction of our dignitary to all of you. He is one of the senior most academician of Nepal Academy of Science and Technology, Nepal. He is also a chairman and founder of IOCN, Hoste Hoise Foundation, Global Compact Nepal, and advisor in Biotechnology Society of Nepal. So I'd like to welcome you, sir, to put your glorious remarks that will really value the glory of our program. Hello, sir. Welcome to our program.
Thank you, Samiksha, and good morning to all of you. And so it's really an honor and pleasure for me to say a few words to all of you, all the participants from Nepal as well as from India and all over the world. We did this program, and I'm really happy to see that we are using the latest state of art of technology, which we have in our hands. Although we are really going through a big problem, but again, problems are faced by human beings, and the solutions are also found by all of us together. So let's have this program like this in future very often, and we have already started, and it's well done. Congratulations to all the organizers from Nepal as well as from Sandip University. It is really again an honor for me to meet all of you guys through this link. And I always say, it is not the things are difficult, we don't do it, but since we don't do it, the things are difficult. We have to help each other, we have to communicate with each other, we have to talk with each other, and always ask questions, as I always say. There are wonderful presentations, and we can also go into applications. From my side, as an academician of the academy, we are the apex body, and our prime minister is the chancellor of our academy. I have my colleague, Dr. Sunil Babu Shrestha, vice chancellor. I'm talking with him all the time. And from the academy, you have our assurances of exchange of professors, last but not least students, and all the people around. So let's bring our work to different height. So as I always say, action speaks louder than words. We can talk a lot, we can do many things, but again, when you are not solving our problems with the help of science and technology, and your field of science and technology is directly linked with health, food, whatever you call it. So let's work. And from my side, this is the first conference like this, and let's do even in future very regularly, at least once a year we should do it. And I have also requested Naveen and Nepal Biotechnology Society as other institution in which I am in, we can work all together. So without much ado, I think I would once again congratulate you. Keep up the good work and always communicate. Maybe when things go a little bit normal, I would like to invite some of you from Nashik University to Kathmandu. We'll work out the logistics. Similarly, I would also like to send some of our delegations to your wonderful university. I have not been to Nashik, but I have been to Pune, Bombay, around that world. It is a wonderful cultural place as well as academic, and we are really happy to have a relation like this. When we have started something great, let's keep it up. I think I will not talk. If you have any questions, please send it to me at any time. So thank you very much. I think I have to stop it here, otherwise it becomes a little bit boring to all of you. And keep up the good work. I'll be listening to all those proceedings. Proceedings will be made, and also electronic copy will be also made. And let's work together. And again, I would say congratulations and keep up the good work. Let's work together for the prosperity. And Nepal, India, we don't have visas. We don't need visas. We have open border. So what is stopping us to work together? Let's work. And the academy is also a member of. We have signed an agreement with INSA, I think Academy of Sciences, and CSIRO and all those sort of things. We have a wonderful relation with your Prime Minister through our Prime Minister, and so there are many things which you can mobilize. I studied in Germany through DAAD programs, and they will be really happy. DAAD office is in Delhi, and they will be really happy to promote our work, a cooperation with you at all levels. We can send any students, any professor, any work to any part of the world. So let's work together. I will assure you with this. So again, keep up the good work, and thank you very much for having me, even for a short time. Thank you, Samiksha. Thank Dr. Dr. Yeah. I think.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. It was really motivating. And thank you so much for your kind word and appreciation. Definitely, we will work on your guidelines. So now it's a time to start with our proceedings. And today we have very eminent professional with us as a guest speaker. Now I request Samishka to start with the session, and she can introduce our first speaker of this today's session. Over to you, Samishka.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So today our first speaker is Dr. Niranjan Kodala. Let me introduce Dr. Niranjan Kodala to all of you. He is a graduate of biotechnology and has PhD in biochemistry. Has the experience of 2 postdoctoral trainings in pharmaceutical biochemistry and industrial biotechnology. He is currently a postdoctoral research staff in the University of Macau, China. He holds a number of awards and fellowship from national and international recognition in academic and scientific aspects, including postdoctoral fellowship award by University of Macau, postdoctoral DGAPA fellowship from Universidad Nacional Autónoma de Mexico, National Academic Vidyabhushan A medal from Government of Nepal 2016, Brickell Young Scientist Award 2016 during the ICET Conference 2016, PhD Fellowship 2012 by Sun Moon University, Department of BT Convergent Biopharmaceutical Engineering, and so on. Apart from this, he holds several registered Korean intellectual patents and published a number of peer-reviewed articles. Let us welcome Dr. Kodala to deliver this lecture presentation entitled Biotech Scientist in the Discovery and Promotion of Nepalese Product. Let me welcome you all to proceed with the presentation of Dr. Kodala. Hello, Dr. Kodala, are you there? We are trying to reach out to Dr. Kodala. As soon as we reach him, we will be connecting him to the studio.
Yes, Samishka, I think due to some technical difficulty or maybe the connectivity issue, Dr. Koirala is not there with us. He is not yet connected.
Okay, so
Yeah,
we're trying
so I
to...
think we can start with the next presentation. We can have Dr. Rajiv Singh there in the studio, so we can start with his presentation.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and as soon as we will have Niranjan sir here, then we can start with the Niranjan sir's presentation.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes. Yes, I request Samishkam to welcome Dr. Rajiv Singh and introduce him to the audience so that we can start with his session. Over to you, Samishka.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Due to some international internet issues, we are now heading to welcome our next speaker to the event. He is Dr. Rajiv Pratap Singh, Assistant Professor, Institute of Environment and Sustainable Development, Banaras Hindu University, Banarasi, Uttar Pradesh, India. Let me introduce Dr. Singh to you all. So he is a graduate of environment science and holds a PhD degree in botany on land application of sewage sludge appraisal of potential effects on plant. Having published a number of book chapters and publications, he holds a pioneer journey in the research related to this his topic of expertise. He holds a number of national journal as and published a number of articles. He has also written a number of book chapters and proceedings. So he has taken a number, taken the supervision of number of projects which has been funded by University Grant Commission India and Department of Science and Technology India, and also received a number of awards including Green Talent 2011 from Federal Ministry of Education and Research, Berlin, Germany. Also, Nate Scopus Young Scientist Award 2012 from Elsevier Scopus and Elsevier, and also has participated in different seminar and conference as well as workshop as a presenter, guest lectures, uh, as and a participant as well. So let's welcome our dignified guest, Dr. Singh, to deliver his lecture presentation. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Samiksha. Good morning, all. Myself, Dr. Rajiv Pratap Singh from Banaras Hindu University, and I am going to deliver a talk on sustainable waste management need of an hour. Can I have my slide, please? Uh, as we know, the waste management is a very big issue. The person, as the person of urban population is there, it, it is increasing day by day. Uh, the India is earlier known when it got independence. It is known as the country of villages. Next slide, please. This is the first slide. Uh, as we know, when we got independence, the share of urban population was 17%, about 17%. Then it comes to 25, then 27, and it is estimated that soon it will become 50-50 ratio. The urban population is increasing at the rate between 3 to 3.5% per annum. However, the waste generation is increasing at the rate of 1.3% per annum. The yearly increase in waste generation is around 5% annually. So the yearly increase will also very much dependent on the population increase, especially the urban population. Presently, India produces around 42 million tons of municipal solid waste annually, and most of the waste is treated in form of open dumping. Collection efficiency ranges between 50 to 90% of the solid waste generated. So the best is 90%, and you can see it is 50% waste collected, and rest it is remain as such on the site or uncollected. 1 square kilometer, if you follow the landfill pattern of disposal, 1 square kilometer of additional landfill area is required every year. So this indicates that we have the limited boundaries, we have the limited area, and the land is under very much pressure, as we need the land for household, we need the land for agriculture, we need the land for our residential corporations, industries, and then so from where the we will get the land if the trend is increasing like this way. Next, please. The urban local bodies are mainly, as per the Indian law, the urban local bodies are mainly responsible for the treatment of waste, and urban local bodies are dependent on the state government or district administration for their function financial asset. The urban local bodies spend around rupees 1500 to 2000 per ton on solid waste management, of which 60 to 70% is spent only on collection, 20 to 30% on transportation, and rest on the treatment and disposal of waste. So you can see that most of the asset is going on is spent on taking the collecting the waste and taking to the site for their treatment. So almost negligible amount is left for their treatment and disposal practices. Crude dumping, as I said earlier, the crude dumping of the waste is most common because the urban local bodies has very less amount left for the treatment practices. Next, please. This is the pie diagram of characteristic of municipal solid waste, and you can see that the major portion of this circle is shows that 42% of the compost matter is 42% is compostable matter, 40% is ash, finance, and others, 4% is metal and grass, 4% is plastics, 4% is textile and leather, and 6% is paper. So, if even you think of the compostable matter, we can at least we, it means it signifies that this portion has the organic component, and then the paper and textile and leather. These waste can be tackled, like metal and glass can be recycled. Plastic at some extent can be recycled uh, or processed in other products. So we can do the processing before the disposal or whatever we want, and then we can help in minimizing this waste. Next, please. But problem is that currently most of the waste is just collected, transported, and then open dumped. So we are aggravating the problem. We are throwing the waste, and that waste after leaching make contaminate the groundwater. That waste can contaminate the soil. That can waste can, after degradation, because it has the organic component, can degrade the air, or it can attract several pathogens also. So we are not solving the problem, but we are aggravating the problem, and the environment is prone to degradation. This slide shows the current practices what is done in India, primarily by the city municipality. No degradation of the waste, no gradation of the waste products. Mostly the waste is ungraded. In some state in India, like Sikkim, is the best waste management state. Otherwise, there is no degradation of waste product like biodegradable glasses, polybags. They just mix it and then collect it and then transport for disposal or further treatment. Dump these waste to the city outskirts wherever they found the lowland area or some ditches. They just dump and get rid of. They think that they have solved the problem, but on the other hand, they are not solving the problem, but they just are getting rid of, and they are aggravating the problem because several flies are attracted, several migratory birds are attracted in search of foods, several stray animals are attracted in search of food, and they are creating the villages nearby are prone to disease. The water we are flowing through that contaminate the nearby water body. The collection practices are generally done by the local kabadiwala, or you may say the rack pickers. They collect small iron pieces by magnet, collect grass water, collect paper by for recycling, and they contribute some small amount of the recycling practices. Next, please. This, these are some of the case studies showing that how solid waste affected us in recent years. The cloudburst of Mumbai 2005, I think some people may remember. 2 years back in Chennai also, it was huge flood due to and the problem was the main cause was the plastic. The case of gas chromatography by Delhi University is, I think some people must be knowing that the gas chromatography was lying there in the lab for several years, and then the humid tag of GC was corroded, and then they, you may say, dispose of to the scrap yard in the university, and then to the scrap yard outside the premises of the university, and that the scrapper, in search of the copper and some other metals, precious metal for him, for his survival, he just broke the GC and he was exposed to the radioactive material in that, and he ultimately at last lost his life. The reproductive birds affect are affected in due to the pesticide and industrial chemicals by food and other type of waste at the disposal size. And as I said, the stray animal dying on the street and farmland due to consumption of plastic bags, which blocks the food movement in their stomach. So you can find several incidents, but problem is that we ignore that. We close their eyes until we are affected, because these birds, animals are innocent. We humans very rarely see that and try to find out the problem and the solution of the problem. Next, please. These are some of the pictures, real pictures. You can find that how we are dealing the waste, and how we are degrading our environment and creating the next problem for us. Next, please. You see, this is a picture taken by me in 2014 when I was taking the MSc excursion to Nainital. This is a very interesting picture. Even in one picture, one truck is standing nearby the top hill to just put the waste in the valley. And the second picture, you can find the white patches, which is the waste. So the district administration, or municipal corporation administration, find the best way to dispose the waste. But they don't think that, they never bother that in the hillsides, there is a lot of rain, and they are not only contaminating the water body, because whenever there is rainfall, these waste will get into runoff, and in form of the stream they will pollute the river. The source of the water of the people living in the downstream is that those streams, so they will drink the contaminated water. Several migratory birds will get attracted. So you can find the monkeys and some animals there in search of food, and you can find the lot of biodiversity. So they are contaminating that biodiversity also. So I was surprised to see that whether they are solving the problem or they are degrading the environment. Next, please. This is a some of the picture of Varanasi. You can see in one picture they are just lighting the burning the waste and getting rid of, and in second picture one child is sitting nearby that waste. The waste has the plastic and several other materials that should not be burned, because several noxious gases after burning is comes out, and that innocent child is sitting nearby and inhaling the gas, whatever the concentration may be. But as we know that either the elders or child are prone to very much sensitive and prone, so the several health issue can be, this type of burning can be caused to that child. Third, please, next please. As we know, if some people must be knowing that Varanasi is named after two rivers, Varuna and Asi. Varna is one river and Asi is another, but due to administration problem and several encroachment, Asi is also is now turned in Asi Nala, and the condition is also, Varna is also not good. This is, you can see in one picture, this is the patches of rugs, the carpet cleaning waste. They have just thrown nearby the Varna river, and you can see the water body, that is Varna. So you can see that how the waste can contaminate the water body or PCS water body. And the one interesting thing, this picture is 3-year olds, and one interesting thing is that this Varna, after I think 2 or 3 kilometers of this site, meets to river Ganga. So if Varna is contaminated, then why the Ganga will not be contaminated? So we are not only contaminating the Varna river water, but we are contributing towards the Ganga pollution also. Next, please. This is a large heap in just outskirt of Varanasi, and this you can, if someone has gone to the Okhla industrial estate, yet it is a small one in compared to that, but you can see that day by day, if it is not managed, it will add to that, and soon it will be after a few years it will be of that size. So problem is that most of the urban local bodies, due to the lack of financial crisis, financial crisis, they are just removing the waste from the city centers and throwing here there, and want to see the city clean, but throwing the waste in our backyard and keeping our house clean will not solve the problem. We have to just tackle that waste, not only remove that waste, but we have to tackle that waste. Next, please. And this is also the same story. You can see the one truck carrying the waste to the dumping site, and another the people who have worshipped and throwing the garland on the river. I don't know who has suggested that you worship in the temple and contaminate the river by throwing the garland, because, and the second hand, we eat the fish from the same river. So if the water is contaminated, why it will not affect the fish living on that river? And the truck carrying the waste is not covered, so that is another big problem, that the people going on the backside of that truck will also be affected of the foul smell, the bits and pieces coming from the waste. So this is not a hygienic practices of carrying the waste to the dumping site or whatever the treatment site. Next, please. This is just a comparison of the waste management. Earlier, what we were doing, and now what we are doing. Earlier, generally in ancient times, the domestic waste have been composted for return to soil. People has the in the villages the people has cows, buffaloes, ox, and now the tractors has taken the place of the ox. The the cow is also lessened because people don't want to do the agriculture. People want have migrated to the cities like Mumbai, Calcutta, Punjab. Till 1940s, farmers brought produce to towns, took urban organic to the field. But now that condition is reversed, with cities growing subsidies for urea in 1960s and thin plastic appearing, urban waste lost its values. Because now you can see the plastics has become part and parcel of our life, and these are the single-use plastic. Yet the government has banned. But problem is that we should not, it is not the government. We should ban. We know, should practice to minimize the use of plastic. At least we should avoid the single use of plastics. Urban waste is now dumped just beyond the city limits on vacant land in villages and all along highways, canals, in low-lying land. It breeds flies, mosquitoes, rats, dogs, thrives on waste heaps and form hunting packs at night, attacking village livestock. So not only they are creating problem, but they are creating the danger to the life of the people going through that. And the last, if someone remembers the Surat plagues, it was the rat who caused the plagues, but the main cause was the waste management. The main cause was the because the mice carries that vector, but after that it was that the Surat was cleaned. Next, please. Next slide, please. You see the history that earthworm history, that from very ancient time we know the value of earthworm in the soil. But as I have said earlier, now earlier we was using the cow dung, we are using the organic manure, but now we are using the urea, DAP, diammonium phosphate. These are solely the chemicals, and we can think that like that when we work in lab, even the either concentrated or diluted acid is falls on our hand, we just remove our hand and wash it. But what will the earthworm will do? If because the urea or DAP are the chemicals, they the when we spread in the field, they are highly water soluble, and the problem is that they are also alkaline in nature, and in that case either the earthworm is killed or just escaped. And not only earthworm, the microorganism is also killed. And the soil which does not have the microorganism is not treated as the healthy soil. As depicted in the soil, earthworm Aristotle described the earthworm as intestine of the earth. Cleopatra declared earthworm sacred and established law to protect them. Charles Darwin has said that unheralded soldier of the mankind. So we need both the fertility as well as the earthworm in our soil. Next, please. The waste can be managed in several ways, like recycling. Recycling not only benefit our environment by reducing the environment degradation, but it helps in making the money out, save energy that would have gone into the waste handling and produce manufacture. Also, the waste will be minimized, that and that can be easily taken for further treatment. Like if we recycle aluminum, considerable amount of cost is saved, and also the pressure on the mining practices for the aluminum will also be reduced and at last it will help in stopping the environment degradation. Making paper from waste save 50% energy. Every ton of recycled glass saves energy equivalent to 100 liter of oil. So you can see that how much recycling helps in managing the waste and as well as the environment. Next, please. These are the several problems which are creating in dealing the waste, like education and voluntary compliance, because the people generally think that what I can do in waste management. It is the government perspective that they have to manage the waste. People think that we are there to generate the waste and government is there to tackle the waste. But it is not like that. We can help in reducing the waste. We can help in, like, when the newspaper comes in our home, we generally don't throw it after reading. We just put at one place, and after 1 month, 2 months, we sell and get at least some money. This is recycling. There are waste, several things in a small amount we can contribute in minimizing the waste. There is a lot of problem in collection of waste, because in household or in some premises, people generally mix the waste, like sweeping waste, vegetable waste are mixed, and that creates the problem. Because if there is vegetable waste, at least we can feed the nearby stray animals, cows, etc. That can serve as food for them. There are a lot of technological interventions. There is lack of institution and regulatory frameworks, absence of mandatory standards for waste reduction. Next, please. These are factors affecting the waste collection systems, like there should be a proper collection point, collection is efficiency should be fixed, and it should be like that people's intervention should be minimized. There should be proper storage containers that should not be eroded from water, because the collection in summer is quite some possible, but in the rainy season it creates a problem. Collection crews should be well trained, should have the wearing the gloves, masks, etc. Collection route should be like that the public transport should not be intervened, and it should match the collection frequency also. The collection vehicles should be properly covered. Collection routing should also be, it should not go through the human population side. It should escape the general populated route. Transfer station record keeping and documentation should be proper. Next. Now I am describing some waste collection points. The separate vehicle have to be employed to transport the biodegradable waste and mixed non-recyclable waste to that with that biodegradable. So there should be at least separate container, if not vehicle, of biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste. All waste to be collected from the collection point within 24 hours. In the rainy season, it, it should be collected as soon as possible, because the degradation efficiency varies with seasons. The microbial activity is fast in summers but slow in winters. So we should keep these things also in the mind. There can be many deficiencies in the collection systems. The main deficiency being spillage during loading operations and collection on need basis. Spillage problem is mostly in monsoon season, when there are a lot of rains and the collection bins or whatever collection point is not covered. Next, please. And due to lack of covering, it will create the leachate generation. Collection route should be proper planned. There should be proper planning of collection route, helps conserve energy, minimize working hours and vehicle fuel consumption. It is necessary, therefore, to develop real route configurations and collection schedule for the selected collection system. Barriers such as railroad, embankments, rivers, and roads with heavy traffic can be considered to be divide route territories. Also, we should avoid these things because this will help in minimizing the intervention. The route work, that is network analysis and planning, can be done using the detailed map prepared using remote sensing data and GIS. So the remote sensing and GIS can help in planning the route map of where the site is near, where it can be treated, where the public intervention is minimum, where the population is less, so that we can petrol can be saved and time can be saved. Next, please. So there are a lot of technologies, but the technologies what we want to follow depends on many factors like financial set, manpower, and many other things. Next, please. You can see that there are a lot of options, and but the choices depend on the person to person, that which we want to follow. Like that, there are thermochemical treatment, biochemical treatment. In thermochemical, there is insulation, gasification, pyrolysis, plasma-based technology. So there are numerous topics. And in this figure, there is some E marks. E means employment generation. So whatever technology is that, it will generate employment. It will generate. It will lead to monetary gains. It will help the niche. So it is the technology is there. Choice is ours, and every technology has the constraint, and we have to follow that. Otherwise, the technology, whatever technology we follow, it will fail. Next, please. That this approach will help in managing the waste a lot. The treat locally, like recyclable waste should be recycled, reusable waste should be reusable, and compostable waste can be composted and used in gardens in pot and as a potting mixture. Next, please. These are some of the initiatives taken by the governments, that the nearby the Okhla there is a composting plant where waste is segregated and the ordinary waste are composted, and compost are used in several means. You can find the block pathways made from the compost construction and demolition waste. This is a fantastic use of the waste. This is the dumping site of Goraigaon, Mumbai. Next, please. Now I am taking one by one. The Okhla composting plant comes under the Municipal Corporation of Delhi, and it was managed by ILNFS. Processing using aerobic windrow composting and complying the MSW rules 2000 of India. So you can say that at least these are the pilot project, successful pilot project, you may say. Next, please. The you can find the pathways made from blocks, and these pathways are generally made from the construction and demolition waste, and it is a fantastic use of the construction and demolition waste in and managing that waste. About 10 to 12 million tons generally they are generated in India. Delhi itself generates 2000 trillion per day. Waste are heavy with high density and consist mostly of inert and non-biodegradable materials. So this is best options concrete and masonry waste, which is more than 50% of construction or recyclable waste, cannot be recycled in another way. So we are managing these waste and we are saving our useful resource, because generally we know that the bricks are mainly made from the soils, and the bricklins use a lot of soils in making the bricks, and we are degrading our useful land in another way. Next, please. You can see there are the four picture. On the right hand side, you see the brick buildings, and you can see the waste and contamination of water bodies. You can see the people's nearby uh, washing their clothes and bathing, etc. You can see the fires in the waste. So these pictures show that the condition near that the dumping sites. Next, this picture shows step by step that the slope was formed, capping was done, and after scientific closure, the the site is now very beautiful and manageable. Next one. These are the payments made from the construction of and demolition waste. Next, please. These are some of the failure story also. As I told you that every technology has its intervention. Every technology has limitations, and we have to follow that. It is not like that you just borrow the technology from somewhere, at least from some other countries, and it will always be successful. You have to plan it, you have to first test it, and you have to modify according to your conditions, according to your limitations. Like in 1984, the Municipal Corporation of Delhi, India, built an incinerator to process 300 tons of per day of solid waste and produce 3 megawatt of power with technical assistance from Denmark at a cost of around $3.5 million at that time. The plant was designed for segregated waste as input, which was not practiced by the household or promoted by the municipality. Here, the main cause is the waste coming from household, and also the responsibility of municipality that there should be that the person who are dealing with this plant should be known about the quality of waste which should be put in the that incinerator. The plant has to be closed down within a week of its opening, as the waste has a very low heating value and a high percent of inert material. Similarly, in 2003, Lucknow Municipal Corporation built an anaerobic digestion plant of 5 megawatt waste to energy project to process 500 to 600 tons of MSW per day at a cost of $18 million. Private company from Austria and Singapore provided the technical inputs, while India firms supplied the human resource. For execution on a build, own, operate basis, the plant was not able to operate even for a single day to its full capacity due to the high level of inert material in the waste, and was closed down. The main problem is that inert waste will not degrade. The only degradation things, whatever there in the waste, is biological part. And due to the lack of technical input and due to the problem arises, and also the waste coming was missed. The operational difficulty and ultimate failure were mainly due to differences between the design assumptions that were based on Europe waste and waste practices and the actual field scenario in India. That what I told initially. They just brought it here, do not think about their condition and here condition, and they try to just run it, and the it caused the failure and loss of the money and loss of the big asset to the country. So it is not like that you just import the things and it will come out. Next, please. These things I have discussed. Next, please. Thank you. And at last, with I'm thinking, just want to say that it is our precious. The world is very precious, and we even a one man can contribute a lot in that, because if a single drop can fill a bucket. So we should think about our roles, not the other person is what the other person is doing. Thank you a lot, and thanks for the organizer to giving me this chance. Thanks. Voice
raising
is
the
not.
issues
Yes.
raising the issues and practices of solid waste management and solutions to factor affecting collections, generation, reduction, and risk associated. The information you shared about possibilities to use technology that can be used in waste disposal technique and notes you highlighted about the needs to be addressed regarding this is truly a reflection of concern about environment protection and supervision of eco-friendly practices. Your concern was not truly upon the risk to human diseases and also towards the impact to other members of our ecosystem, including birds, cow, buffalo, dogs, and other cattle, which has clearly elucidated your concern towards the creature of ecosystem as well. We acknowledge you for your noteworthy inputs on disposal of solid waste and recommendation on putting forward the solution. We hope this will be taken in consideration by the authorities and representatives with seriousness as well. Let us be hopeful about keeping the then contaminated city clean and practice the eco-friendly approaches to manage the solid waste as effectively as possible. And from our side, let us reduce the degradable waste and manage them at our houses and help sustain the beauty of environment. We are really thankful for you, sir. Now we are taking queries from the audience, and I'd like to pass over to Dr. Raitekar to take the questions and help address from Dr. Singh. Over to you, Raitekar, madam.
Thank you, Samiksha. Thank you so much, sir. It was really
Thank
a
you.
wonderful and thought-provoking lecture. Sir, now we can have few questions from the audience.
Sure.
I request everyone, if they have any question, they can drop the question in the chat box. Yes, sir. We have one question from Dhruv Pandya, that whenever we are talking about medical solid waste, which is totally hazardous for all animal, how it is discarded by municipal corporation.
Generally, it's advisable to do incineration, because the medical uh, has the skins and some several human tissues, but it is not supposed to mix with the municipal MSW waste. But and as per the rules, every hospitals has the incinerator. But what is done, it is the responsibility of the local authorities to see that. But sorry to say that, because the small hospitals generally don't have, and that is creating also one big problem, that like syringes, some expired medicines are coming at and mixing with that in the small township, because the big hospitals has the money, has the asset, and some at some places they hire some private organization. They put the waste in different plastics, colored plastics, and like GIZ and some companies take that weight, and they take the responsibility to tackle that waste. And it is nothing. The municipal corporation, I think, is doing nothing in that. It is the private organization that are taking the waste and dealing with that waste.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We can have a next question from Seema Desai. That is, some medical waste can't be degraded. So, how such waste is managed so that the environment should not be polluted?
Regarding the municipal MSW, medical waste, it comes in the hazardous waste category, and it is not advisable as per law of Indian law to mix to get mixed that with the municipal waste. So the only choice is either have the incinerator to burn it, or generally the company the big hospitals, they put it separately in separate colored plastic, yellow plastic, black plastic, and then the people from as I told earlier, from the private parties come there and take the responsibility of managing the waste.
Yes, sir. The next question, this is a very good question asked by the Meena Suval. How it is possible to manage waste electronic wastage?
Generally, the electronic waste currently, because electronic waste has its own problem, because so generally people it is now currently in search of the proper solution, but at least we can recycle some of the portion of that, because generally it is not in the practice of in India, but I have gone to USA, and they have the buyback policy that you can sell, you can there go to the, you will say, mobile center. After some years, they will take that back and give you some exchange value. So at least in this way, they are promoting the recycling of the waste, and they are, at least you are saving some money. And as far as my concern, as a waste management specialist, these type of policies should be promoted by government also in here in India also, because once the waste come in public domain, the electronic waste, it is not very easy to manage it. Like we sell the TV or whatever, the buyer, they take the useful component and throw it at the unused one, and the unused portion just contaminate the environment.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Probably this will be a last question by the Deepika Singh. That is, human anatomical waste material is disposed by incineration method. Is there any other process for disposal of that waste
No,
material?
no, because as the human animal waste attracts you don't know that that anatomical waste has which kind of disease, which kind of pathogens. So the ultimate solution is initiation, because in initiation the temperature is very high, and that animal tissues are born in that, and likely the microbes or virus are born in that. Otherwise, if it is come in open area, it will attract animals, and it will help in dissemination that disease.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I think due to the time constraint, we cannot go with all the questions. But thank you so much for attempting maximum question which has been raised by the audience. And thank you so much for your delightful lecture. We are really grateful to you for having your presence in this conference and giving your expertise view on the solid waste management, because it is really a burning issue, and
Yes,
especially in a
because
country like India.
the main problem is that the we people ignore the waste. But if you think of the waste cause the air pollution, waste cause the water pollution, waste cause the soil pollution, waste cause the
Yes,
biodiversity
sir.
pollution. So whatever the pollution is there, directly or indirectly, it can be caused by the waste. You manage the waste, and you can at least minimize several problems.
Yes, sir, really, really. Thank you. Thank you so much for your informative talk and really outlining
Uh,
all the aspects of the solid waste management and the liquid management and their consequences too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Nisar, and the organizer to giving me this opportunity. Thank you a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Stay
Thank you.
safe. Bye bye.
Have a good day.
Yes, sir. Have a good day too. Bye. Yes, now we are moving toward our next speaker of today's session. Dr. Koirala is with us. I will request Samishka to invite Dr. Koirala and welcome him, and just proceed with the further following of the session.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So our next speaker for the session is Dr. Niranjan Kodala, postdoctoral researcher, University of Macau, Macau, China. Let me introduce our speaker to you all. So Dr. Kodala is a graduate of biotechnology and did his PhD in biochemistry and has experiences of two postdoctoral trainings in pharmaceutical biochemistry and industrial biotechnology. He is currently a postdoctoral research staff in the University of Macau, Macau, China. He holds a number of national and international fellowship and awards of the recognition in academia and scientific aspects, including postdoctoral fellowship by University of Macau, Macau, China, postdoctoral DGAPA fellowship from Universidad Nacional Autónoma de Mexico, Nepal Academic Vidyabhushan A Medal 2016 from Ministry of Education, Government of Nepal, Brickville Young Scientist Award 2016 during ICET 2069 International Conference, PhD Fellowship 2012 by Sun University, Department of BT Convergent Pharmaceutical Engineering, and so on. Apart from this, he holds several registered Korean intellectual patents and has published a number of peer-reviewed journal articles. Let us welcome Dr. Kodala to deliver his lecture presentation entitled Biotech Scientists in the Discovery and Promotion of Nepalese Natural Products. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Samiksha. Can you hear my voice?
Are you getting us?
Okay, you can hear my voice, right?
Your microphone seems to be muted. Please unmute your microphone. No, it's not audible to us. Sorry, please.
I think this should be fine.
Your voice is not audible to us, sir.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
No, we are not getting your voice.
But here I can see that everybody can see and hear my voice. Camera, mic.
Yes, sir. Your voice is clear.
Can you hear my voice, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Your voice is clear. You're audible. We
Yeah,
can hear
okay,
you.
thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank you.
please go
Okay.
ahead.
Samiksha is not able to hear me. I don't know why. There must be some
That
problem.
might be problem from her side. Yeah, you're audible. Yes, please go ahead, sir. I will share your screen
Okay.
very soon, and then you can
Okay,
start.
that's great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Bye.
Okay. This is Dr. Niranjan Kodala. I'm working in the University of Macau, in the Faculty of Science and Technology as a postdoc research fellow. And in the beginning, I would like to thank Sandip University, Nesar, India, Biotechnology Society of Nepal for organizing and providing me such a lovely platform to put on some of my voices regarding the biotech scientists in the discovery of natural products in Nepal. So, I really feel honored to be over here and put some of my words to the lovely audience. So, can you please put on the slides? Hello, ma'am. I'm waiting for the PowerPoint presentation slides. Okay, here we go. Next. Okay, so the title of my presentation is, you can see over here, the role of biotech pharmaceutical scientists in the discovery and promotion of Nepalese natural products. So next slide, please. So Nepal is a beautiful country, as you can see in the picture. Like it's the land of the Himalayas, where the tallest mountain in the world, the Mount Everest, lies in the Nepal. You can see the god of peace, Gautam Buddha, was born in the Lumbini, Nepal, and like Nepal, basically, if I have to describe, is a peaceful country having three different altitude, like the Himalaya range, the hilly region, and the Tarai plain region. So like we have a lot of biodiversity inside our country, where most of the people, they rely on the agriculture. Next slide, please. Most of the people, they rely on the agriculture for their daily living and earning. Like the major economy of the country is contributed by the agriculture, and followed it by the tourism sector and alternative energy like hydropower. So like you can see in the picture, like in the hilly region, the people use the traditional way of farming for the cultivation, and now Nepal is entering inside the modern technical 21st century, technically, in terms of technology and development. Next slide. So like if I have to talk about the traditional way of farming, cultivation, and the way of how the people generate their income inside Nepal, then I have to talk about the flowers, plants, these vegetables and fruits, and the animal farming. Like different kinds of fruits are grown by the Nepalese farmers, like apple, peach, pear, palm, walnut, orange, lime, lemon, and different various kind of vegetables are grown, like lady's finger, brinjal, pumpkin, and several leafy vegetables. And most of the people in the Himalayan region, the hilly region, and in the Tarai plains, they rely on the cattle farming. The livestock is one of the important sources of cash income of the farmers in Nepal. So like what they rear, what they raise, that will give the farmers the most important product, like the milk, yogurt, cheese, ghee, churpi, even the meat and the eggs, which are sold directly to the people of the country, or even exported outside the country. This is how the people of Nepal the, live their live their daily life, and this is the way of the economic growth inside the country till recently. But now slowly the trend has changed, and more people are interested in doing modern agriculture, modern farming, replacing the traditional way of farming, and coming up with more modern ideas, utilizing the technology of biotechnology, pharmaceutical technology, and industrial technology. So most of the people, the graduates who have been outside the country, they are coming up inside the country, showing up inside the country, and doing more industrial and doing more cash crops cultivation, more doing more modern farming, and more herbal doing the different kind of research, like herbal research, medicinal plant research, pharmaceutical research, and contributing directly to the medical sector and the economy of the country. Next slide, please. So like people are swarming inside the country, uh, and there is a belief for the entrepreneur now that whoever are living inside the country or willing to come inside the country, they can contribute to the economy of the country by doing different kind of herbal medicinal plantation. Next slide. And this will definitely, I can put on some example, as you can see in the slide, that these are all the different natural product and pharmaceutical product companies which are focusing to the Nepalese market as well as international market in India, China, the Europe, and the Americas. So like you can see over here, different companies, they are producing different kind of natural products, different kind of essential oils. We have the Graciela Hobbs, which produces the essential oils, and they are trying to export it to the nearby countries as well. So this is a growing company. So we have the Seeker Biotech, Everest Biotech, who are creating the novel antibodies. The Rara Biotech, they are doing a great job in the farming of cultivation of mushroom. The Ficus Biotechnology, these companies are doing good job in producing the hybrid type of wood plants by the technology of plant tissue culture. And eventually there are many companies which are registered in the registration company of Nepal, and more young generation are showing their interest in doing the modern technological agriculture and contributing to the economy of the country. Next slide, please. So you can see over here that many different groups, they have contributed in mushroom seed production center. It is located in the Lalitpur, nearby the Kathmandu Valley of Nepal, and there are Gandaki trout fish farm, which is located in the Pokhara, Nepal, and likewise the kiwi farming, which has made the new generation, the new blood, a millionaire in terms of income and cash by doing this kind of agriculture, modern agriculture in a massive land. And different types of poultry farming, like the ostrich farming, are being done inside the country. So like these are just the representative examples I am trying to show you. But there are many other startups, many other enterprises are coming up, doing the business in agriculture, in pharmaceutical, and in research and development, and directly contributing to the research of the country, directly contributing to the economy of the country. And there are many other examples, but right now what I am showing are only the representative examples. So next slide, please. So like, how does the fund come to the young people inside the country? Who are the organizations that help to find the fund, to give the grants, so that the new generation, the different people working in the laboratories, in the research centers, how do they get the money to do all this kind of research? Because the research is not done by a single person or not funded by a single person. It is a collaborative work, it is a teamwork, and people need a lot of money to do this kind of different kind of activities. So in Nepal, basically, like, we have Nepal Agriculture Research Council, which is doing research itself, as well as funding the money to the upcoming researchers and to the farmers of the Nepal. So improving the quality of the crops, and contributing to the yield of the crops. Likewise, the Nepal Academy of Science and Technology, NAST, which is located in the Lalitpur district of Nepal, it is also contributing to the research, doing research itself, as well as giving fund, the grants to the young upcoming generations, to the lecturers, to the professors, and to different various organizations who are interested to participate in doing research and contribute directly. So there are Nepal Health Research Council, who are doing research in the health sector area, medical sector areas. Different INGOs are there, like ECMOD, the TWAS, the Helvetas, the Swiss agencies, the COICA, the Korean agency, and different other agency. And most important, the University Grant Commission of Nepal is contributing directly to the upcoming researchers, the lecturers, the professors of the college and the universities, the students who are willing to take up the research and do some significant research and do the publication and contribute in this area of research and development. So these are different examples, representative examples of the funding agencies which are located inside our country, Nepal. And I want to thank all of these agencies who have given the donated something to the researchers of Nepal, to encourage them so that more and more research can be operated inside the country. Next slide, please. So like, we have, like, having the fund is one important thing, and like doing the business is another thing. Commercial business, like we have to prepare a skilled manpower. We have to prepare skilled students, the teachers inside our country, inside our society. So like, how, where, and how do these people, do this new generation, the students, get the knowledge and the skills? So like, we have plenty of universities and colleges coming up with the different programs in biotechnology and pharmaceutical technology. So like we have the Kathmandu University, the Pokhara University, Tribhuvan University, the oldest university of Nepal with a very good ranking, and the Purvanchal University, and different affiliated college and the private college like White House and the HICAST, the Kantipur College, the National College. There are many other colleges. So like whatever I'm showing up here are only the representative examples. Like many other colleges are there inside the country in different places of Nepal. So like these are directly producing the manpower, required biotechnology students, graduates every year, and these students go on being go like they take on different roles in the society, different roles as a business person, different role as a scientist, a researcher, or professor, lecturer, or medical technology, or the patent lawyer, and different other works related to biotechnology and pharmaceutical sciences. Next slide, please. So, like I want to come up with uh, next slide. This is the goal and objective setting. So, like when we have, the next slide is whatever I'm showing over here is something like the coronavirus exposed the US. How the US is reliant on India for generic drugs, and eventually India is reliant on China for the raw materials. So, like this coronavirus pandemic has exposed the vulnerability of US on India and India on China. So, like this trend, like is an eye opener for most of the big playing global power countries, and I think this will definitely help US, India, and China to be prepared, well prepared in advance, so that when the next pandemic comes, or even this pandemic, they could be uh, in advance prepared and help their neighboring countries as well and their people. So, like basically is how these countries are interdependent on each other for the production of pharmaceutical products, the generic drugs. So, like India is home to like most of the more than 70% of the world generic drugs are produced in India. Is massive huge scale, and because of this, like even the US had to ask for hydroxychloroquine by President Donald Trump, which we could hear in the news recently. So, next slide, please. So, like this is where India sources its active pharmaceutical ingredients. So, like this is why I am showing this slide is that how the countries, how the big countries which are producing the raw materials, which are producing the generic drugs, which are producing the patented drugs, how they are interconnected and related to one another. So, like total value of the India's API import is $3.28 billion, which is 68% from China. So the raw materials, more than 68, almost 70% of the raw materials that comes to India is from China, and the remaining percentage is from the rest part of the world. So, like this is a huge. India is dependent on China in terms of raw materials, and USA is dependent on India in the production of generic drugs. So these are all related to one another. So, like if each country want to be independent, and when there is a times of pandemics, they have to be self-reliable, self-reliant on oneself, so that the problem will not go out of hand. Next slide, please. So, different biotech pharmaceutical scientists areas of interest could be pharmaceutics, pharmacology, the chemistry, the clinical trial, biopharmaceuticals, project management, and other areas. Next. So, like when we talk about the traditional medicine, alternative medicine, complementary medicine, or medicinal chemistry or pharmaceutical chemistry, then we have to know about the history of drug discovery and some aspect of drug discovery. Like 80% of the world population resides in developing countries. It is a fact. 80% of people in developing countries utilize plants to meet their primary health care needs, and global population around is 7 billion, out of which almost 4.5 billion, or nearly roughly 5 billion people utilize plants to meet their primary healthcare needs. So, like you can see over here, the early documentation of use of medicinal plant. So from where and when did the use of medicinal plants started in the history? So you can see Mesopotamian 2600 BCE, Egyptian 1800 BCE, Chinese 1100 BCE and continue Indian 1000 BCE and continue Greek 500 BCE. So like the Chinese and the Indians, Nepalese traditional medicine is still we are still utilizing our Ayurveda concept of holistic medicine to treat different kind of ailments and disease, and most of the folk medicine are still utilized by most of the people inside our country. So like the famous discovery of natural product drugs, the penicillin came after the end of World War I by Sir Alexander Fleming, which is the most popular drug and most potent antibiotic as well. And followed by different antibiotics have already come up because of the presence of microbial resistance, and we need to do more and more research in this area so that we can come out of this problem of this microbial resistance, so that people should not die from having an infection from the microorganisms. Next slide, please. So like, why do you need to do the drug discovery? Why do you need to go to the doctor, or why do the doctors prescribe you the medicines? So like, you have a different problem like the obesity or the heart problem, or you have a smoking problem or alcohol problem, any other different kind of addiction, but still you need to go to the doctor, and the doctors will give the medicine. So the medicine could be synthetic, chemically synthesized, or naturally inspired. So the science in the body carried out complex molecular reaction. As you all know that a miracle is a mistake in one reaction might stop an important protein from being produced, or overproduce leads to body not producing enough cells, like diabetes or progression of the on the checked progression of the cell, like in case of the cancer. So drug ameliorates the different pathway, bringing them to recovery, and this is how the drugs will come into role, come into the play, and the doctors need to prescribe the different drugs. But how the drugs are discovered, or how the naturally inspired microorganism inspired, plant inspired different kind of drugs, how are they produced by the researcher in the laboratory or in the universities, or different pharmaceutical settings. So next slide, please. So like, the plants have different kind of medicinal properties, like antimicrobial properties, anti-inflammatory properties, neuroprotective, uh, antioxidants, cardiovascular protection, anti-cancer, and different kind of chemicals, biomolecules present inside the plants. They have some distinct roles, like you can see over here, like artemisinin is antimicrobial, curcumin has anti-inflammatory function, antioxidant function, and camphorol, resveratrol has anti-cancer function, and quercetin has a cardiovascular protection function, and so on. We have millions and millions of chemicals inside the plant, and we have millions of species of the plants, thousands of medicinal plants species, and each plant contribute to millions of chemicals. Each chemical contribute to different protection or different medical function in our body. So like, how do we know that which plant is having a particular set of chemicals, and how are those particular set of chemicals going to contribute to the recovery of our problem, is another aspect of the research. Next slide. So like, how does these drugs comes to our table, like from the bench to bedside drug development pipeline? So like, the idea, like I have an idea, and you have an idea. This idea is written down in the form of the project and applied for the grant, and when you get the grant or the project, or your professor has a project, then you apply for a position and you work in the laboratory or in different pharmaceutical settings. The first one is the basic research. The basic research, like different kind of optimization processes, different data you generate, and when you get a lead, when you get an optimistic result, then you go to clinical trials. So different phases of clinical trials are phase 1, 2, and 3, and followed by the regulatory approval like the FDA and different drug administrative department of the respective countries, and eventually it is dispatched from the pharmacies present in the hospitals or all over the cities. So this is how this is just a flow diagram, like how an idea comes to become a successful drug and comes to the patient here. Next slide, please. So, like, how are these drugs discovered? How are the natural products as drugs discovered? So this is one interesting thing. Like in the nature, we have different species like microorganism, plants, and animals which are found terrestrially inside the ocean in different places. Everywhere you find microorganisms. Everywhere you find microorganisms. These microorganisms, after sequencing, like we will know that if it is a novel microorganism or already a discovered microorganism. Anyway, like our idea is to find the set of biosynthetic gene clusters, and after we know that, and we do different kind of bioinformatic analysis the biosynthetic gene cluster. We will know that which gene cluster will contribute to what kind of natural products, and after the expression of this biosynthetic gene cluster by the heterologous host strain engineering, then we can have different kind of products. And this is also very popular nowadays. The genetic engineering, the metabolic engineering, the strain engineering is one of the very important aspects. And this is being done routinely by different pharmaceutical companies, by different biotechnology companies, and this is how the people will find a lead drug, and the lead drugs will undergo different kind of clinical trials and different kind of regulatory approvals, and finally after being sure that they don't have any side effects or don't have any other negative aspect to the human body, then these are approved by the regulatory authorities, and which comes to our consumption when we have a disease. So next slide, please. So, like there are different plants. You know that thousands and thousands of species of plants, thousands of microorganisms, billions of microorganisms in our immediate vicinity, in our surrounding, in our environment. Then how do we know that out of billions, millions, thousands of microorganisms or the plants, like which plant is the plant we need for the research? Or which is the plant that will contribute to the production of pharmaceutical drugs or the natural products, or which is having a functional chemical, biochemical. So, like as you can see here, like when you go to the airport for check-in, then you have to go through the check-in, the security checking. Then they will screen your bags and your body for the possible presence of some other dangerous goods. Like similarly, we have to do research. So, like out of the hundreds and thousands of chemicals, the plants, so we have to do screening so that we will select the best possible, the best functional plant for our research. Next slide. So the first slide, first process will be the herbal or the natural extraction of the plant. So, like you have a plant, you need to do a extraction. You need to do an extraction of the plant. So the extraction, different extraction process are possible. Like the first is the crude extract and the extraction by the help of hexane, chloroform, ethyl acetate, butanol. So different types of these solvents are used for the extraction of the plants. Next slide. So now we have to do different kind of, after the extraction, now we need to do different types of analysis, like the qualitative analysis, quantitative analysis in the qualitative, and quantitative analysis, total phenolic content, total flavonoid content are measured, and in the next step we use we do a lot of testing, like different kind of antimicrobial testing, anti-cancer drugs testing, and there are so many testings are available. Different protocols are available in our market, which are contributing to our research. Next slide, please. So the different parameters could be we have an extract, and we want to know the different. We want to screen the extract. So different parameters are shown over here. Like we have different kind of carbohydrate testing, tannin testing, alkaloids, glycerides, hexanoids, reducing sugar, proteins, and different kind of water solubility testing, hot water methanol testing. Next slide, please. So like you can see over here, we have a plant and we do the pharmaceutical analysis. The first step is the phylogenetic tree analysis, followed by the selection of the strain and culture of the strain in the flax or in some other fermenters. And when you have the extract, then we do the HPLC and mass analysis and the NMR analysis to elucidate the mass of the compound and the structure of the compound, which will be followed up by different antimicrobial screening and different kind of biological activities testing. Next slide. So you can see over here in the first picture, you can see we have these microorganisms, and after we subsequently put our extract, then these microorganisms, the size of the culture, this microorganism is being reduced, and we can say that this is having antimicrobial properties, and some other different kind of properties are also being shown here. You can see over here, and in the conclusion, you can see the results reveal the first extract. These plants could be used as a good source for drugs. So the next slide, please. So I want to show you one example. This is the plant. This is the medicinal plant Acticum lacta, and the seeds were taken by these researchers, and from the seeds, this Acticum compound was isolated. This this isolated compound was structurally elucidated, and the trial was done in the clinical trial, preclinical trial done in the rats. You can see over here the tumor-induced mouse. After the injection of this compound, the tumor size reduced drastically, and they come to the conclusion that this plant is a valuable source of Acticum, and this compound is a valuable source of the anti-tumor pharmaceutical agent. So this is how, like, they have come to the conclusion, like this how this compound can be used as a possible treatment for the cancer or tumor. Next slide. So like these were the different kind of processes that we regularly do in our laboratories or in the research center in our college or in the universities. And along with this, now when an idea becomes successful in the laboratory, then we want to apply this in more commercial level, and in industrial level. Like you can see here, I want to give you one example. This plant Heropito, this plant, the research was conducted in the laboratory by the Japanese scientists, and like these were cultivated in a large scale, in a large scale production, the cultivation of this plant, and followed by the extraction of this compound, and this compound was used as a cosmetic product for the protection of the leaves and as a beauty products. So this was a commercial success of a successful story of a natural product that went into the industry, that went to become commercialized and become a product. Next slide, please. So like when we work in the laboratories, then we have to know the different sets of instruments, like which instruments are being used, for what purpose is very important. So for example, like the first basic thing which we used in our laboratory for the detection of the product is the HPLC. So HPLC is the high performance liquid chromatography. As you all know that you must have used HPLC in your daily research life. This is a very important instrument. And then we have the mass analysis. The mass analysis has to be done so that we will know the mass of our compound, and the NMR. The NMR is the nuclear magnetic resonance. This instrument which will help to find the structure of the compound. Next slide, please. So different bio-inspired molecules were isolated from the nature by different scientists all over the world in different research areas, like anti-malarial drugs, the role of traditional medicine. So quinine from Cinchona species used in the Amazon region for centuries for treatment of fevers. Artemisinin from Artemisia annua used in TCM for centuries for treatment of fever. There are different compounds which were produced from the plants. Next slide, please. So morphine is another drug produced from the plants. Papaver somniferum. Next slide. Antitumor antibiotics like doxorubicin, dactinomycin, mitomycin, bleomycin, these are also inspired from the nature, from the medicinal plants. Next slide. Not only from the plants, or not only from the plants found in the terrestrial region, but also different species, different plants found in the marine region in the ocean. Uh, uh, they were able to contribute to the discovery of natural products, like in South Africa, hemiastral or minor gave a set of compounds, and different kind of Dolabella, auricularia, Mauritius. This different ocean species give different kind of anti-cancer agents, and they were commercially successfully commercialized in the market. Next slide, please. So now we have for Nepalese pharmaceutical scientists and government. So there are certain things which are very important for a pharmaceutical scientist or a biotechnology scientist and the government, so that the government can best utilize the interest of the people and the medical, pharmaceutical, biotechnology community, and contribute to the economic growth of the country, so that they can export their products to different several countries all over the world. So for this to happen, and for this dream to become a reality, then different international research collaboration should take place. The universality of the drugs should be adopted, so that the drugs which are discovered in the Nepal will be equally applicable to the patient people in the United States of America or India or China. So the science and the policy of any country will determine the future of the research and development, and the development and the economic development of a country. So like our policymakers, the lawmakers should keep this thing into consideration, and they should focus on the importance of research and development, and increase the annual budget. The government will secure every year, so that the budget should be increased, and more and more funding should be secured to the scientists. The scientists would be encouraged, so that they will dedicate their time and their mind for the research and development. Next slide, please. So now we have I want to show you some latest development and successful stories which comes from the natural products, and can and has the potential to be used for the treatment of the coronavirus, the COVID-19. The scientists recommend asthma plant for coronavirus symptoms treatment. So this is one. This could be one successful story, and the coronavirus, the ashwagandha is another herbal plant. The Modi government begins study to see if herbs keeps coronavirus away. So this is another story like which has come in the market in the newspaper. And next slide, please. And there are the talkings in the market that cannabis might block the COVID-19 infection. The study shows. So the smoking weed won't make you coronavirus proof. But these researchers might be onto something. Like this is the news which I recently read in the newspaper. And ashwagandha, as I have already talked about that, and there are different herbal medicinal plants which can be potentially used for the treatment. For the treatment of the coronaviruses and different kind of other bacterial infections, viral infections, the fungal infections, and for the treatment of the cancer, the tumors, for the anti-inflammatory, antioxidant properties, for anti-aging properties, and different kind of elements that are that we have to face, and many people are facing in their daily life. So, like it's very important that the natural products, the natural product drug discovery should be focused by every country, and even big country or small country doesn't matter. But the overall the concept, the fundamental thing is that the research should be replicable and should be utilized by our community, our society, and the country, so that the people will live a disease-free life. And this will, when people are disease-free, then they are, when they are healthy, then they can contribute to the economic cycle of the country. So, like this is very important to be very healthy, and to be very healthy, then we need to be disease-free. To be disease-free, we need to have some drugs, some natural products are very good, which will not have side effects. So, like next slide, please. So we have done pretty some research inside our country, and like published in some journals as well. So you can see over here the title is Antipyretic, Antinociceptive, and Anti-Inflammatory Activities from Pogostem on Bengalensis leaf extract in experimental Windsor. Right, these were the research we conducted last year and published. And next slide, please. Some other example, I want to show the bioactive evaluation of leaf extract fraction from young barley grass and correlation with the phytochemical properties profiles. So, like these are very important things a natural product chemist or a pharmaceutical chemist should consider: the phytochemical profiling, the phytochemical screening, the finding of the molecular mass by the help of the gas chromatography, the HPLC analysis, the mass analysis, and different bioactivity evaluation of the leaf extract, isolation of the pure compound is very important, and getting our results published in the international index journal is also very, very important, so that our research will be disseminated throughout the world, and many readers can read and get benefited from our research. Next slide, please. So, like coming up to the conclusion side, what I want to tell is that yes, more and more people in developed countries become attracted to herbal medicine and cosmetics extracted from the naturally found chemical composition. Nepal should focus on exporting such products, processed herbal products. So Nepal now should always should not just simply import, purchase the products from other countries, but now should be self-sufficient, sustainable in terms of medicinal herbal medicines, because our country is very rich in biodiversity, and we all know that we have ample thousands and thousands of medicinal plants, and we still reliant on other countries to purchase these herbal medicine which we already have inside our country. Just we need some basic facilities so that these plants chemicals will be converted into the product. And not only that, our country will be benefited, profited, but even our neighboring countries and other countries where we export, the people who are having different kind of problems will be benefited from our products. So the Nepali herbal products have immense potential to secure notable export earning, but the lack of research, absence of proper processing, and failing to label appropriate specifications have become impending its business prospect. Experts have said usually the herbs found at an altitude of 3000 meter and above are considered rich in natural chemicals. So finally, what I want to say is that the pharmaceutical companies should focus on developing molecules from locally available plants or microbes rather than imported chemicals. So we have a diaspora of Nepali export that have been doing well in the field of biomedicine, pharmaceutical medicine, the biotechnology. Our Nepalese scientists, Nepalese brothers and sisters are living abroad in different part of the world and contributing to the economy of other countries instead of doing contributing to our country. So, like the government should make some particular policy so that we can stop the brain drain and start to get the brain gain. So we want to appeal to the our Nepalese brother and sisters living in the international places, different countries, in different universities and pharmaceutical companies to come back to the country and contribute to our nation. So Nepal should invite the country's export in the domestic network to carry out more research in the sector that will economically benefit the country. So Nepal again should we have to depend on the rest of the world for our essential medicine and countermeasures so that we don't have to depend on the rest of the world. If there is any other different kind of economic blockades or any other kind of problem like earthquake or any other kind of problem that may arise, so if we become self-sufficient, self-reliant, and sustainable in terms of medicine, herbal medicine, then our pharmaceutical sector, our medicinal sector, the Ayurvedic sector will contribute potentially, and when we have our own product, then our dependency also will decrease. Large incentives were given by the Chinese government to Chinese pharmaceutical companies to set up large API plants, and so should the policies of Nepalese government. So the Nepalese government should have very incentive policies so that they will give incentives to the pharmaceutical companies, the biotech companies, whether in terms of purchasing of the instrument or chemicals or solvents or any other grants or fundings. So the incentives should be given, and the scientists of our country should be encouraged so that more and more scientists, more and more students will take science as their career, biotechnology as their career, pharmaceutical as their career, and contribute to the economy of our country. Next slide, please. So finally, my take-home message is: so everybody should, not only Nepal, not only India, not only Pakistan, not only China or United States or any other part of Europe. So you should love your country and fellow citizens. Nepal is super rich in natural products and biodiversity. Engage in research activities, taking help from university professors, establish research institutes, various NGOs and supporting channels. Plants and microorganisms are the potential source of natural products and drug leads, and we should network with researchers and friends all over the world, all our Nepalese friends, Indian friends, Chinese friends, European friends, Australian friends. So everybody should network together through these different kind of common platform like this e-conference, some other webinars, some other online conference, and many other ways are there to communicate. Now we have different platforms available like Facebook and other WeChat as well. So let's stop the brain drain and start the brain gain for our country. So the next slide, please. I think this should be the last slide. And what I want to say is that a problem can never be solved at the level at which it was created. So we have to think in a very creative way, in a different level. So if we think in the same level like how the problem was created, then it is not going to function. So like many scientists have already spoke on this kind of inspirational and motivating things in their seminar as well. And I want to thank the organizers, Biotechnology Society of Nepal, the Sandip University, NESAR India. I want to thank all the professors, all the researchers, all the scientists, all the correspondents, and all my dear friends, brothers and sisters for watching, for taking your time to watch this presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. This was an informative lecture on the possibility of utilizing the natural resources as raw materials in the drug discovery and the role of biotech researchers and life scientists can play to carry out the approaches. Your thought on possibility of using plant resources as primary medicinal material truly reflects your expertise that can be thought-provoking to many young scientists watching us. The aspect of antimicrobial resistance that you highlighted is one of the concerns that the current health science authority need to pay attention to bring about solution to the problem raised in this issue. The way your reflection to the brain-to-bed approach of research conduction and drug discovery research based on plant extract by identification of compounds ought to be one of the acknowledging aspects we can confer among those among those young scholars wishing to work on this field of science. We hope your expertise will, in real meaning, come out with some productive things that we can be proud of. We are really delighted by your prologue in this event and will be glad to see our Nepali scientists contributing the society within the functional perspectives, norms, and value. A problem is created may provide many possibilities, as you noted within your presentation. We are really thankful for your notes. And now we are taking queries from the audience. For this, I'd like to pass over to Dr. Roythekar to take the questions and take address from Dr. Koirala. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. It was really informative lecture. Really means I must say you have not left any stone unturned by explaining this, opportunities in the field of biotechnology as well as in the field of pharmaceuticals and the therapeutics, like how the researcher can have variety of opportunities in in these sectors. Really, we are grateful to you, sir, for sharing your all the expertise in this field. Now we will have a few questions. Actually, we received many questions, but quickly we will have few questions. I request you to please answer those questions. So there is a question from the Sandesh Bhandari. It can be displayed on your screen too. The question is, homeopathy is our traditional medicine and many countries like India recommend arsenic album to treat for COVID-19. What is your opinion about it and what is about its side effect?
Okay, thank you, Sandesh Bandari, for your genuine question. Yeah, definitely, homeopathy is our traditional medicine, and many of our ancestors, even my grandparents, they relied on the folk medicine, the traditional medicine, the holistic medicine, the alternative and complementary medicine for the treatment of different ailments, because there was no any chemically derived or Western medicines available at that time. But different countries like India recommend arsenic album to treat for COVID-19. This COVID-19 has become a major pandemic and major problem throughout the world. My opinion in this is that unless this kind of chemicals are directly approved by the Food and Drug Administrative label or FDA label, so I think this should not be tested and tried without any approval. And there are different kind of Ayurvedic, the holistic herbal medicines. Many scientists they are claiming to cure this pandemic, this coronavirus. But my recommendation will be that you should not try this without any FDA approval and without any approval from the government authorities.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The next question is from Ujjwal Lab. Which drug is better for human, allopathy or homeopathy or Ayurvedic? Pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic of these drugs are same or different?
Okay, thank you very much, Ujjal Lab. So for the human consumption, definitely for a long run, if you if you want to live a very holistic life, if you want to live a very healthy life in a long run, homeopathy won't. I don't think homeopathy will be better than the Ayurvedic. The Ayurvedic is definitely better for a long run if you want to live a healthy life. But for the case of emergencies, if you have an infection, if you want to have some if you have cancer, if you have some other heart problems or some other diabetes, for the emergency care, for the intensive care, you definitely need to rely on allopathic medicine, the Western medicines, this homeopathy medicine. So it depends upon your situation, your circumstances. Like if you have the time and you can give a holistic approach, then you can go for the Ayurvedic medicine. But if you don't have time, you are in emergency and you need emergent, urgent medication, then definitely you need to go to allopathic or homeopathic medicine. So it depends upon your circumstances and your necessity, your requirement of the moment. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. The next question is there in the screen by Bhandari Babu, that is there possible to produce natural vaccine for corona treatment? Is there any possibility, sir?
Okay, thank you, Bhandari Babu. Yeah, definitely there is the possibility of producing natural vaccine for corona treatment. Natural vaccine, yeah, all the vaccines that are produced are, in fact, natural itself. Like but they will just trigger our immune system, the antibodies present in our body. So, like many people, many scientists, they have tried the natural plants. Like they are producing the phyto vaccines, like from the banana plant, from the other different kind of plant by the help of plant tissue cultures. So like this idea is also coming up, the phyto vaccines, this idea is coming up, and I think this will definitely take a proper form shape in the future, in the coming days, and definitely the approval of the government agencies is required and most important. Thank you.
Surely, surely, sir, surely. So the next question is like, why can't we initiate collaborative research in the large scale for mutual benefit? As Nepal and India both are naturally occupied by the large diversity varieties of the herbal and medicinal plants.
Okay, thank you very much, Chetannath Neopani, sir. Yes, you are very right. Rightly said that Nepal and India are both friends from long time, and we are brothers and sisters living in two different countries, but like we occupy the same kind of landscape, and we have a very rich biodiversity in terms of herbal and medicinal plants, different microorganisms that are capable of producing different chemicals, an array of chemicals. So definitely we can initiate collaborative research in large scale for the mutual benefits. And for this, the private sector and the government sector and the non-government sector can definitely initiate in the research center level or the university level or the government institutes, different research institute, the plant research institute or the animal research institute or the Nepal Academy of Science and Technology. And even India, they have the Department of Biotechnology, under which different IITs and Institute of Science. Even when I was in Bangalore, then I visited the Indian Institute of Sciences, and the scientists were, they're really doing a very good job. I think the different research institute can come up with a memorandum of understanding. They can sign the MOU, and depending upon the budget, the funding, the grants, and the research interest, definitely they can they can initiate collaborative research in large scale for the mutual benefits, and this should happen in near future as well. Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you. So we'll have the last question. That could you please name any registered allopathic drug for herbal origin formulated in Nepal so far available in Nepal and global market to cure humans?
Thank you so much, Dr. Dhruva Gautam, sir. Definitely, like in the world scenario, I can tell that from the herbal product like Taxol, which is registered and patented in the US patent office. This is an anti-cancer drug, anti-tumor drug. The natural product from microorganism, the doxorubicin, is also patented. Different other kind of drugs like quinone, the anti-malarial drug from artemisinin, is also patented in the US patent office. So there are different various natural product as drugs which are already been patented and licensed by the pharmaceutical companies. In most of these drugs have the research came from the developed countries, and especially for Nepal, and like still we are on the process, and maybe like in the coming days, in the near future, we will definitely have some other natural product drugs from our and like what I can say is that like every day in our daily life we use the curcumin, the haldi, the besar in Nepali, haldi in Hindi, like we use curcumin, different kind of cloves, and different kind of varieties of spices we use. So like maybe like these are not patented, but still like we can say that these are working as a drugs which we use in our daily life and which is helping us to fight the microorganisms. and which is helping us to live a very healthy and happy life. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I think there are a number of questions, but due to the time constraint, we cannot take all of them. So we really sorry and apologize to the audience. But thank you so much, Dr. Koirala, for attempting all the questions so patiently. And thank you for sharing your knowledge and your expertise view. Thank you. We are really grateful to you for being with us and enlightening our today's session with your expertise talk. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Nisha. It was very pleasant to give this presentation, and I am very happy. And I hope such presentations of such e-conference will take place in future, in coming days,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
collaboratively as well.
Definitely, sir. We'll work on it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Good day
much.
ahead,
Namaste.
sir. Bye-bye. Namaste.
Bye bye.
Okay, so we have done with the two speakers. Now, before proceeding to the next speaker, I would like to just do the one important announcement that the feedback link will be shared through the WhatsApp group and the Telegram group, as well as it can be sent through the email ID. After filling the feedback link, only you will get the e-certificates, and about the e-abstract book, you will get it within 3 to 4 working days after the conference. And I also request everyone to be there and join us for the valedictory function, because there we are going to announce the name of the best poster and best oral presentation. So stay with us and enjoy this session. So this is time to invite our next speaker. Now I request Ms. Samiksha to introduce our next speaker, that is Dr. Ram Bhusal, and welcome him to have his expertise view.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So our next speaker is Dr. Ram Prasad Bhusal, Research Fellow, Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology and Infection and Immunity Program, Monash Biomedicine and Discovery Institute, Monash University. So I would like to introduce him to you all. Dr. Bhusal is a postdoctoral research fellow in Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology, Biology and Biomedicine Discovery Institute, BDI at Monash University. He completed Bachelor in Pharmacy from Pokhara University, Nepal. After his completion of bachelor degree, he worked in a pharmaceutical company and pursued his master's degree in pharmaceutical chemistry in Wonkwang University, South Korea. After graduation, he worked as a lecturer. After this experience, he got his PhD at the University of Auckland, New Zealand, in the discipline of chemical biology under the auspices of competitive University of Auckland doctoral scholarship. Dr. Bhusal is experienced in chemical synthesis, molecular biology technique, the production and purification of recombinant proteins, the protein binding and kinetic assays of proteins using various biophysical techniques, and the crystallization of proteins and structure determination. Currently, Dr. Bhusal's project involves characterization of novel family of tick proteins evasins that targets chemokines to suppress inflammation. His long-term career interest centers on investigating the biochemical mechanism in the context of infectious disease and the host immune response. Let us welcome Dr. Bhusal to deliver his presentation entitled Tuberculosis Free by 2035. How can we achieve the goal? Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Samiksha, for very kind and elaborative introductions. Yeah, thanks, organizing committee in Sandip University and Biotechnology Society of Nepal. Yeah, today, as Samiksha described more about the my work related to immune, but I did my PhD on tuberculosis, and which I'm gonna present today. Mostly I'm gonna start straight away. Maybe we are running out of time because they're running out of time. So let's start. I would like to share my screen. Share entire screen. Is everyone seeing my screen? Hello? Hello, Samiksha? No, stop sharing. Share screen, share screen. Hello, Samiksha.
Hello, sir.
I'm trying to share my screen. Is it sharing?
No, sir, your screen is not visible. If you want, I can do it on behalf of you.
Oh, I think it's here now. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, done.
Yeah, some issue with that. Sorry for that. Yeah. Are you seeing my screen now?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir, your screen is visible now. Go ahead, please.
Thanks. Thanks, Nisha. Tuberculosis is a global burden. Why this tuberculosis is a global burden? If you look at this map, you can see the most of the countries in Asia, Africa, and South America are colored with the red color, which means they are highly affected by tuberculosis. Even if you look at the Nepal and India, they are highly affected by the tuberculosis. Yeah, 1 out of 3 of us who are listening this talk may have tuberculosis. That's the real data about the tuberculosis. That's why it is a global burden. Yeah, WHO has a target to solve the problem of tuberculosis by 2035. What their target is, they want to decrease the TB death by 95% and reduce the TB incident rate by 90%. It's not easy to achieve this target. To achieve this target, we have to focus on 2 types of TB. As you know that, as we know that, it is like there are 2 forms of the TB. One is the active TB, which you can see here is like we can see sign and symptoms and can be treated with existing TB antibiotics. But there is also another form of TB, which you can see in the figure, is called latent TB, which is carried by the 2 billion world people. It means 1/3 of the world people. This latent TB is not a disease state. There is no sign and symptoms. However, they are the carrier of the TB. The problem is that active TB can be progressed from latent TB. The probability of progression to the active TB increased if the person is immunocompromised, such as HIV infected people. To achieve the target of the WHO, we need to focus on this latent TB as well. But to target this latent TB for the drug development, first we need to understand how mycobacteria or causative agent of the TB survives in a latent form. In latent form, mycobacteria lives within a macrophage. This is a macrophage, and mycobacteria lives within a macrophage. If we talk about the environment of the macrophage, it's hypoxic, means there's lack of oxygen, and there is lack of glucose. And the plenty of available stores within the macrophage is only the fatty acids. So we have to understand how this mycobacteria utilize fatty acids as a source of energy. If we look at this cycle, actually, in a normal conditions, the organisms like human being and other use carbohydrate as a source of energy to produce the energy. The The TCA cycle or the citric acid cycle is the major cycle to use this acetyl-CoA produced from the carbohydrate to produce the energy. However, in case of the mycobacteria, latent mycobacteria, there is lack of carbohydrate. The only available source is fatty acids. So what does this mycobacteria do is they use the fatty acids, they use the acetyl-CoA produced from these fatty acids via the glycolic cycle. I hope many of you have heard about this glycolic cycle. This is a bypass of the TCA cycle. And it utilized by the organism when there is a lack of carbohydrate. So why microorganisms, why mycobacteria have to bypass the TCA cycle? If you look at this here, there's a production of energy plus release of the 2 carbon dioxide. It means in each TCA cycle, the energy is produced as well as the carbon is lost in the form of carbon. So mycobacteria don't want to lose any carbon because there is a lack of carbon. The carbon is a source of energy actually. So they want to conserve every carbon. So they bypass the TCA cycle and produce the energy via the glycolic cycle. Let's look in details about this. What is this cycles are? I don't want to go in details about these cycles, but you have already studied in the undergraduate actually what this TCA cycle is. But what I want to show you is that this is the TCA cycle in the normal conditions when plenty of glucose is available. But if this acetyl-CoA is produced from the fats with the lack of nutrients within the body, then what does these organisms do is they bypass the TCA cycle, few steps of the TCA cycle, and goes through this blue cycle, which is a glycolic cycle. If you look at this enzyme, actually, acetyl-CoA is a gatekeeper between the TCA and the glycolic cycle. Why I'm focusing here is the acetyl-CoA is this acetyl-CoA is the main enzyme of the glycolic cycle and gatekeeper enzyme between the glycolic and the TCA cycle. So my study, my talk all will focus on this acetyl-CoA inhibitor for the development of the tuberculosis drug, new tuberculosis drug. Let's look closely. What does this acetyl-CoA do in glycolic cycle? If we look at this acetyl-CoA, this is the acetyl-CoA molecule. What does it do is it does enzymatic reactions or catalytic reactions to produce glycolic and succinate. I want you all to keep in mind that this acetyl-CoA is converted to glycolic and succinate by acetyl-CoA. Why I'm asking you to keep in mind because most of the talk coming slides will be moving around this enzyme. Look at this big paper. Before my work, these big papers published in the Nature Medicine, Molecular Biology, and there are few other big papers talk about this importance of the acetyl-CoA enzyme in the latent TB or its importance in the glycolic cycle. What this acetyl-CoA enzyme is? There are 2 types of acetyl-CoA. We talk in science as the isoforms, 2 isoforms of the acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA 1, which is a 46 kilodalton protein, and which is well studied by many scientists, or it has been reported as an active enzyme. However, there is another isoform, which is acetyl-CoA 2, which is double the size of acetyl-CoA 1. But what literature reports is that it's an unstable protein and does not have a physiological significance. The big question mark here, you can see, why mycobacteria produce such a huge protein, 19 kilodalton protein, 90 kilodalton protein, if it does not have any physiological significance. It was unbelievable for me at that time. So what I decided is that I want to explore this enzyme as a target for the drug development, new drug development of the TB. How I started is very simple, basic things in the drug development. So what we did is that we produced recombinant protein using an E. coli. Here you can see that. And then after producing the protein, recombinant protein, we purify it using a different chromatographic system, very simple chromatographic system. Here you can see this figure that this is a simple STS page, which shows the purity and quality of this ICL2 protein that we produce using a E. coli. Once I get the stable protein, what we think is that we want to study it in two aspects. One is the structural aspect. What is this structural aspect? The structural aspect is because none of the structure of the ICL2 is reported in the literature. So we want to know how this protein looks like. Yeah, we can't see this structure of the ICL2 with naked eye, but we can model it based on the X-ray diffraction data of the protein. And also, what our other aspect is that we want to find what's the role of ICL2 in the survival of the latent Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Our aspect was that can we target this ICL2 for the development of new TB drugs, new TB antibiotics? Yeah, we started with the structural aspect. Yeah, as we know that the protein are crystallizable in different conditions. Actually, as a salt, protein can be crystallized. So there are various commercial screens available in the market for the screening of the crystal. So what we did is that we used a lot of commercial screens, crystal screens, to crystallize the protein. Now you can see a beautiful crystal actually. This is a protein crystal acetylized to crystal. No, it is not a salt crystal actually. It's a very beautiful protein crystal. What we did to this crystal is that we do a we collected an extra diffraction data from using a Australian synchrotron facility. This is the facility, this is a common facility for the Australasia where we can find the X-ray and different source of light. Using this source, what we collected is that we collected the diffraction data of these crystals, and using a computer and different software, we model the structure of ICL2. Here, you can look at the beautiful structure here. It's very beautiful, yeah? It's a beautiful structure of the ICL2 that I reported for the first time. If you look at the 4 different colors, actually, you can see here 4 different colors, which means that 4 molecules of the ICL2 sit together to form a tetramer. You like this structure? It's quite beautiful, yeah? And if you look closely to one monomer, actually, that's green one, what does it look like? You can see that there are like two proteins in the same 2 proteins. It's like this is a 2 domains of the same protein, actually. So this is an N-terminal domain. This is one domain, and which is connected like a wire-like loop to the another domain, which is a small domain. It's very interesting for us, actually, because ICL1 has only one domain. Then what does this extra domain is for? What we did is that we try to compare ICL1 to this ICL2. And when you align these two, we can see that this N-terminal domain is quite similar to the ICL1. So what we thought is that This domain is for isocitrate lyase activity, which means the isocitrate binds to this domain and then it converts into succinate and glycyrate. I hope you have remembered that I have mentioned it before that this enzyme isocitrate lyase convert isocitrate to glycylate succinate. What I mean here is that this isocitrate binds to this domain and somehow do enzymatic reactions to form a glycylate and succinate. The interesting part of the story is that what does this domain is for? It's a unique domain. None of the organisms has this domain in ICL2. So we decided to find out what does this domain is. What we did is, we didn't do any big things over here. We took this domain, it's all the computational work actually, it's the structure. We took this domain and then we do the search in the database. There are a lot of protein protein structure in the database. If you have heard about this protein data bank, it has a lot of protein structures. By using this structure, what we did is we blast search and found what we found is that they are quite similar. In the blasters, a lot of acetyl-CoA binding proteins comes out actually. Oh, what is this? So what we think is that these two proteins could be similar. So what we did is we aligned these two structure and found that they're quite similar. It's very interesting for us actually that this protein is like an acetyl-CoA binding protein. So what we hypothesized is this domain could bind to the acetyl-CoA. Before testing these activities of this ICL2, what I need is a robust method for enzymatic assay of ICL. Yeah, if I mentioned a few times that acetyl lyase gives a succinate and the glycylate. So it has a 4 hydrogens here, you can see, which can be traces in the NMR. So what we think is that if we can measure the intensity of these 4 hydrogens here in the NMR, that it could be a real-time method for the assay of this ICL. If you look at this spectra, this is me. I'm doing the NMR in the University of Auckland. And if you look at this spectra, which is more important than the previous figure, you can see these are the peak of the isocyt rate. If you look at the 0 minute here, you don't see any peak over here. But in 4 minutes, you can see a new peak. What is this peak is? What I did is that, if you look at this tube, NMR tube, what I did is that there is an isocyt rate. Also, I added the enzyme and took a reading in 4 minutes. And I can see that there is a new peak appears, which is a succinate peak. So over the time, you can see the intensity of the peak increases. Yeah, based on this peak, we can measure the amount of succinate form. So based on this amount of succinate form over the time, we can determine the kinetics or the catalytic activity of ICL. That's the method we developed in our lab, which before my work, there were no any robust work. So what I did is that I developed a very robust real-time method for determination of the enzyme activity of this ICL. Based on this method, I utilize this method to see if acetyl-CoA activates the ICL2. If you remember, I didn't put the structure here. There are 2 domains of the ICL2. One is isocytrate lyase binding domain, and another is supposed to be acetyl-CoA binding domain, which is our hypothesis. Also, from the literature, I mentioned in my introduction part that all the literatures, what they reported is that ICL2 does not have any activity or almost have a very low activity. What we did run is the experiment first is that we run the same experiment using only ICL2. You can see the amount of succinate form is low, which means the catalytic activity of the ICL2 is very low in its own. What I did is that, interestingly, I didn't do much on this. What I did is I added the 1 micromolar of acetyl-CoA to the NMR tube and reported this and did the NMR, run the NMR, and says that says the increase in the amount of the succinate formed, which means acetyl-CoA activated this enzyme. It's a huge finding for us. For the first time, what we reported is that ICL2 is not a redundant protein. It's actually regulated by acetyl-CoA for the activity. If you look at this difference between this, the activity is increased by 100-fold. It's quite comparable to the ICL1, or it was somehow more, but statistically it was comparable to the ICL1 activity, which I have not shown here, but it's ICL1 also shows a similar activity. What we want to prove is that does CoA binds to this other form of the CoA bind to the C-terminal domain. So what we did is that we put the different CoAs in the reaction mixture and then found that they all increase the activity of the enzyme in somewhat amount. But it's not, it's acetyl-CoA and the propanol-CoA shows the same activity, but coenzyme and succinyl-CoA have lower activity. I don't want to go in details why this activity is low in this talk, because the most important thing that we achieved is that acetyl-CoA is a regulator of the ICL2. Why we think is that, for knowledge that ICL1 does not have any extra domain and is not activated by presence of the acetyl-CoA. I have not shown the data here, but we have seen that the acetyl-CoA does not do anything to the ICL1, but ICL2 is activated by acetyl-CoA. If you are interested how this acetyl-CoA did this increase in the activity, so we move back to the structure. I don't want to go in more detail about it, but if you look at this structure, you can see here small molecules here, model the small molecules here. These are the acetyl-CoA. Means using my X-ray crystallography, I also solved the acetyl-CoA bound structure. Let's not go in details about this structure. What the difference between these non-acetyl-CoA bound structure? This is acetyl-CoA phase structure. And what is the difference between this and the bound structure? What is the factor that increased the activity of ICL2? What happened is that this is just a model structure you can see here. This is the structure acetyl-CoA free ICL2. When acetyl-CoA binds, what happened is that it's this changed the structure. This changed the structure. They changed a huge conformational change. Due to this conformational change, the activity of the enzyme also increases. Don't go in details about it. Just what you want to understand is that these are the C-terminus domain, 4 C-terminus domain of the tetramer, and then 4 acetyl-CoA binds 4 domains, and upon binding of this acetyl-CoA, the conformational change occurs. This conformational change triggers the activity of ICL2. I would like to summarize my talk over here, this part of talk. I'll come to the another part of talk, maybe which you are more interested in. What we achieved in this project is that we solved the structure, new structure, novel structure of the ICL, acetyl-CoA bound in the free form, and we first time reported the activity of ICL2 in the presence of the acetyl-CoA. What we think is that, what we find is that this acetyl-CoA acts as a gatekeeper to switch between the TCA cycle to black silent cycle. Means this, when the black silent cycle, when the lot of acetyl-CoA is formed from the fatty acids, this acetyl-CoA will bind to the isocitrate 2 and increase the black silent cycle rather than the TCA cycle. So that if you remember, TCA cycle release the 2 molecules of carbon dioxide, lost the 2 molecules of carbon dioxide, so that all the energy production pathway through the black silent cycle and save the carbon for the further production of energy. Yes, this is the one part of the story. There is another interesting story I will talk about. Once we find these things, that this, when we characterize these isocitrate lives, we move on to the development of the TB drugs and TB antibiotics using ICL as a target. We want to find the inhibition of this isocitrate lives. The process is very simple. We produce the proteins, as I've already described about the production of the protein using a recombinant proteins using an E. coli and purify using a chromatographic system. What we did is the interesting things over is the molecular modeling and the virtual screening. What is this actually? This is like we took a structure, library of the structure in a computer actually. There are the known compounds. What it is like, we have a lot of library of, this is a private library from the different organizations, different country. We can find the chemical compounds that come from the nature. And what we can do is that we can make the structure of these compounds in a computer. If you look at these figures here, this one is an enzyme, and this is a compounds fitted to the isocitrate binding pocket of the enzyme. What we did here is that we took a lot of natural products, and fit into this pocket to see whether these compounds fit into that pocket. So it is one of the way, this is called the molecular model virtual screening. This is one way of screening thousands of chemicals in a day to see natural products, thousands of natural products, you can say that, screen in a day. So based on the different scores, this is the algorithms, there are different algorithms and they give a different scores. Based on the scores, we will determine whether they fit to that pocket well or not. If they fit to the pocket well, then they will be taken and they will be they will be synthesized, or they can be bought from the commercial source. These compounds can become and then characterized by the different biophysical methods like the NMR, thermal shift assay. This is a real-time PCR machines. This we can do a high throughput screening. It's a very simple screening. The method we developed in our lab actually, we can screen 96 compounds at a time. So it's a very, very easy method to screen these inhibitors or these chemical compounds. And there is another robust methods which give exact KD values and all these things, IC50 values using the NMR. These lead us to the few compounds that are good inhibitors of this isocitrate lives. Yeah. What we really did is that, unfortunately, we could not take the natural product library from Nepal or India because we could not find it. Virtual library of these natural products from India or Nepal. So we decided to do the virtual natural product library from the Russia, which has a 50,000 compounds. What we did is that we do the molecular modeling, that I described. We fitted to the model of the enzyme, and then we found the 41 virtual hits. These are all the virtual hits. We didn't do anything in the lab. It's all in the computer. And then what we did to this 41 virtual is that we did a thermal shift assay that I talk about um, the very high robust screening methods. We can do 96 compounds at a time, and then we found out of 41 hits, we found 19 hits from this high throughput method. We did NMR for this methods. We did the NMR for these 19 compounds and found the 2 compounds are inhibitor of these associated light enzyme. The work is going on to find the more better inhibitor, and the work is in progress at the moment in the University of Auckland. As Samiksha mentioned that I'm mostly working on the tick proteins for as a immunomodulator. So most of the people from my previous lab, many people from the previous lab working on this project to develop a new drugs based on this ICL. Yeah, I'd like to summarize it. What we did is that we didn't take any natural product. We just took a virtual library of the natural product and used a computer to find the virtual hits. And using a high throughput methods, we screen few compounds, possible hits, and then we use the robust NMR method to confirm whether they are the real inhibitors or not. In this way, we find the 2 very good inhibitors of the ICL, which could be a lead for the development of new TB antibiotics. Yeah. Last, I would like to acknowledge few people from University of Auckland, because I did all these works in University of Auckland. I hope you guys enjoy my talk. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. This was really an intriguing presentation explaining the drug discovery perspectives in the tuberculosis mission and possibilities about TB-free world by 2035. The world today is running behind COVID-19, and still millions of people have died because of tuberculosis globally since decades. A crucial research in this aspect and a practicable finding could be one of the significant boon to the infectious disease study and drug development possibilities, we hope. Since people from countries like Nepal and India are also in the higher proportion of mycobacterium infection, we hope your expertise will bring into us a practicable solution in settings like ours. The detailed illustration of your presentation have truly widened the understanding about how researches are carried out in the molecular level, proteomics, bioinformatics, instrumentation, and biochemistry. The algorithm and the target proteins based on various robust techniques by high throughput screening are of real interest to those having passion to explore further in the disease sciences. This will be a benefit learning to all the audience watching us. We are really thankful to you, sir. Now we are taking few queries from the audience, and I would like to pass over to Dr. Raitekar madam to take the questions and help Dr. Bhusal address them. Thank you. Over to you, madam.
Thanks, Samiksha.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. It was really extensive work, I must say, and we really congratulate you for your extensive work. Sir, now this is a time we'll have the question answer session. There are few questions raised by the audience. I will just display it on your screen. Yes, sir. There is one question from the Chetnath Newpane. It is about he wanted to know about the program or software which you implemented for the molecular dynamics simulations.
Yeah, it's maybe Chetnath sir must have seen my paper, because I didn't talk about anything about the molecular dynamics in my paper. Why I didn't talk about it is because the molecular dynamics works is done by someone others. I'm a I'm a wet lab chemist, wet lab biochemist. This is I say as myself as a biochemist. So I'm pretty sure this must all be written in my paper. It's out of my head actually. What we used actually for the molecular dynamics simulations. If you really need to do all these prospects, then I can send you in a private message and all those things. Yeah, thanks.
Yes, thank you, sir. So there is a next question, which is displayed on your screen. It is by Pramod Aryal. This is which specific amino acid residue of ICL2 contribute binding to acetyl-CoA?
Yeah, very good questions actually. Yeah, I didn't go in details, all these details on the paper because considering the audience, actually, most of the audience is very hard for only the structural biologists to understand these all things. What amino acids is that? There are few amino acids that are not only. There are very few amino acids actually contribute to the binding of the acetyl-CoA. Mainly, they have like these positive charged amino acids are there in the C-terminal domains. They're involved in the binding to the acetyl-CoA. But to be frank, this need to show all these structures and all these how they bind and all these things to make you clear how they bind. I didn't include in my talk. Yeah, I can talk to all these things, but I didn't include in my talk because considering the audience of this. Thanks, Pramod, for your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The next question is by Shankar. That is, how much optimistic you are regarding the use of ICL2 inhibitors for treatment of TB?
Oh, thanks, Shankar, for your nice questions. Actually, I'm really optimistic. The world gonna explore this ICL2 for the development of the TB. Actually, yeah, I'm not only the persons. Our lab is not only the lab that working on these days. There are many labs started to work on the ICL2 these days. We can find from the literatures and all these things. Many people are ready for collaborations and all these things. So I'm really optimistic that one day my work will pay to the new drug development.
Yes, sir. The next question is by Srimant Raut. That is, what might be the reason behind we are unable to control the TB since so many days?
Yeah, those are very nice questions there. If you remember my first slide of the talk, actually, 2 billion people of the world, 1/3 of the people are carrying this latent tuberculosis, and because there are none of the existing TB antibiotics works properly to this latent TB, and the progress of the active TB from the latent TB is more than 15%. So it's gonna be if you calculate the 15% of the 2 billion, so the people in here, a lot of people gonna get the TB if we don't treat this latent TB, or if we don't find the mechanism or way to control this latent TB. So it's gonna increase the TB number day by day. I hope you got my answer. It's all due to the latent TB, existence of the latent TB, which are untreatable at the moment.
Yes, sir. The next question is there on your screen. That is by Mukund Koirala. Is there a drug for treatment of latent TB in the market?
Yes, yes or no, actually. Why yes is that the doctor prescribed the same TB antibiotics we have been heard for a long period, actually more than 6 months, especially 9 months or some more than 9 months. But that is not the good treatment, because it's like a failure. Actually, it's only it can control it to be active, but it can't treat it completely. So. And the yes is that answer, no is because they are not effective, and they are not effective to the many people. So we need a new drug, new target for the drug development of the new drugs to treat this latent TB.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. we can have the last question
Yeah.
for this session. That is, would you like to give any recommendation to control the tuberculosis?
This is a very good questions, but this is hard to answer at the moment actually, because they are transmissible disease. They transmit from one person to another. If we can't control the transmissions, that's the one way. And another way is that if we understand how this latent TB survive in the body, we need a more research on that to find how they survive. This is one of my research. We need a further research to find the exact mechanism how they survive, and then target those mechanisms for the treatment of the TB. Then we can definitely control the TB at some point in the world. WHO has a target. WHO always focus on the control of the TB. So hopefully a lot of research funds will be there in the future for the TB drug discovery, and then we can get the drug for the latent TB and then control the TB in the world.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. I think we cannot take few more questions because of our time constraint. But thank you so much for answering all those questions very effectively. Thank you, sir, for being with us and sharing your amazing work. We can understand that it is not so easy. So we can see that it is the dedication you have shown toward your research. So thank you so much for sharing your all the content with us. And we also hope that this tuberculosis should be eradicated by this 2035, and we would achieve this aim what you have targeted. And we just wish you all the best to achieve this goal. So thank you so much, sir, for being with us here.
Thanks, Nisha. Thanks, Samisa. Thanks, organizer, for giving me an opportunity. Hopefully, there will be this type of conference from India and Nepal to share our work and then show directions where to go, where should the research go in our country. Actually, I'm disappointed that no one raised the questions about the natural product library that we use from the Russia. We can make the natural product library from India or Nepal and explore them for the different disease model, and then see if we can find the drugs for those drugs. Actually, that's what I wanted to share with these peoples, and then people think about developing, getting the structures of the natural structure of the molecules from the natural product and make the computer library for the drug development. Thanks, Nisa. Thanks, organizer.
Yes.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Have a good day. Bye-bye. Bye. Yes. Now, moving toward our next speaker of the today's session, that is Dr. Niranjan Aryal. Before that, I would like to do the announcement again that the feedback link will be shared to you on the WhatsApp and the Telegram group, as well as it can be sent through the email ID, your registered email ID. And please stay with us for the valedictory function. Join us there, because we are going to have the names which will be declared for the best presentation award. So be with us. Now I request Samiksha to invite our next speaker and welcome him for the conference. Over to you, Samiksha.
Thank you, madam. So our next presenter is Dr. Niranjan Kodala, Lab Director at Certus Analytics, Murrieta, California Technical Lab, and Director at South Coast Lab, COVID-19 Testing Lab, Newport Beach, California. Let me introduce him briefly to you all. So Dr. Aryal is a graduate in biotechnology from West Virginia State University and holds a PhD degree in plant science and plant genomics from Montana State University, Bozeman, Montana. He is experienced researcher in several national and international entities, and is an awardee of number of national and internationally recognized awards, including Graduate Research Assistantship Award, Montana State University, Graduate Teaching Assistantship Award from West Virginia University, and Merit-Based Scholarship from East West College of Science, Bangalore University, India. He is a technically expert scientist in several aspects of biosciences, including molecular cloning, enzyme assays, microarray, GCS PLC, DNA RNA sequencing, microscopy, and other aspects of biotechnology and analytical chemistry. He has participated in presentation and talk series nationally and internationally in several seminars, conferences, and workshops, and has also published a number of journal articles which could be read-worthy to the growing scientists. Let us welcome our next speaker, Dr. Aryal, to deliver his presentation entitled Cannabis Science and Scope of its Legalization in Nepal. Over to you, sir. Please proceed to your presentation.
Thank you, Samiksha, and thank you the whole team for having me here. Okay, could you share my slides?
So just wait, I will share your slide and then immediately you can start with your presentation.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you one more time for having me here. So I'll be talking about the cannabis science and scopes of its legalization in Nepal. So we all know that the cannabis plant was criminalized for a long time, like for 4 or 5 decades, and now many countries have started to legalize it. So I'll be talking about, talking about the science behind the cannabis, because most of us thinks that it's a very terrific plant and it's a drug. So I'll explore, or I'll try to dig into it and explain what it really is and what are the benefits, advantages of legalizing cannabis. Where do I go next? Okay, all right. Could you go next? All right, so cannabis plant was first, it was identified, or there is a proof that cannabis plant was used 12,000 BC in China, and then it came to India, Nepal, and South Asian countries, and from there it went to the Middle East and Europe, and it came to United States very late in 1920 or 1910, 80. So, the cannabis plant is now spread all over the world. Next. So, when we talk about cannabis plants, so we all think that the cannabis plant is only one species, or whatever in India, Nepal, we call it ganja. So it's not like that. So cannabis plant is divided into 3 different species, and not all species produce the psychoactive compounds. So the specification is still controversial, but mostly accepted specification is tri specification, sativa, indica, and ruderals. Next, please. So what makes the cannabis plant a unique plant? So when the transcriptome data of cannabis plant was compared to that of Arabidopsis, so it looked like that both the plant have similar kind of genetic expression. So that means that the plant is not very different from other plants at the genetic level. But what makes the plant different is the secondary metabolites produced by the cannabis plant. So cannabis plants produce more than 500 secondary metabolites, including about 100 unique cannabinoids. So those 100 unique cannabinoids are the ones that make cannabis plant very unique from other plants. Next, please. So secondary metabolite produced in the cannabis plants could be cannabinoids, terpenoids, or the phenolic compounds. Next. So terpenoids and cannabinoids, they share the common pathway. And so there is still the research going on, and there is a question whether there was a co-evolution of cannabinoids and terpenoids in cannabis sativa. Next now. Okay, so talking about the cannabinoids present in the cannabis plant, so this is a biosynthetic pathway. So all the cannabinoids have a parent compound called cannabigerolic acid, or the CBGA. So that the most common one that we know, THC, CBD, CBG, CBC. All those cannabinoids or the compounds are produced from a parent compound called cannabidiolic acid. So there are different enzymes expressed differentially in different plants, which makes the plant produce a specific kind of compound. Next, please. So cannabinoids are concentrated mostly in the flowers, and there is a small amount of cannabinoids in leaves, while seed, stem, and pollen has much smaller amount of the cannabinoids. Next, please. So interesting thing was, so now we don't need the cannabis plant to produce these cannabinoids. So there was a paper published in 2019, February, which showed that different cannabinoids now could be produced in the yeast, so putting those THCA synthase or CBDA synthase into yeast, and we'll be able to produce those cannabinoids. Next, please. So we have to understand, so what is cannabis, so we have to understand the difference between marijuana and hemp when we talk a cannabis plant, because in South Asian countries, we call everything ganja and everything hemp and everything marijuana, but it's not like that. So marijuana and hemp both are cannabis, but marijuana are the plant that produce more than 0.3% of the THC, while hemp are the plant that produce less than 0.3% of the THC. So the main compound for the marijuana is THC, which is a psychoactive compound, while for the hemp, CBD is the main compound, which is a non-psychoactive compound. So, so THC is the one that makes you feel high when you smoke. Next, please. So these cannabis plants or the cannabis products have a very wide range of medicinal values. It can be used in treating diabetes. It can be used as antioxidant, and it has several other potential medicinal values. Next, please. So when we talk about the cannabinoids, so we don't want to forget the concept of the endocannabinoids. The endocannabinoids are the compounds produced within our body, or they are the cannabinoids produced within our body. So they regulate various psychological and cognitive processes such as memory, appetite, pain sensation, etc. So this shows that even people don't smoke cannabis, so they already have the cannabinoids in their body. So it's interesting that we are criminalizing the plant for producing the cannabinoids that our body already has it. Next, please. So looking at the potential medicinal values of the phytocannabinoid. So THC is found to be very helpful in releasing migraine in mice or the mouse at the optimal dose. Next. And CBD has been found to bound to several receptors in the human body, and it has several potential medicinal values, such as helps in digestion, treating liver disease, treating cancer. Next, please. And apart from THC and CBD, there are several other cannabinoids present in the cannabis plants, such as CB and THCV, CBC, CBDV, and several others. As I already told, that there are more than 100 reported cannabinoids present in the cannabis plants. All those cannabis compound has got potential medicinal values of their own. Next, please. So terpenoids are the other secondary compounds produced in the cannabis plant. So these terpenoids also has got their own medicinal properties. For example, caryophyllene, which is found in black pepper and cinnamon. It binds to a CB2 receptor, and it has anti-inflammatory and antidepressant or anti-cancer properties. Next, please. This is a new concept, entourage effect or the synergistic effect. So it explains that the terpenes and the cannabinoids or the phytochemicals or the or secondary metabolites in the cannabis plant act together for treating the disease. So a paper was published in 2009 which showed that stronger muscle antiseptic effect of a cannabis extract compared to the pure THC. So that means extract has got more than one phytochemicals, and pure THC has got the THC isolate. So it shows that more than one phytochemicals were working together in treating the disease. So, but now the question is, what could be that combination, CBD terpenes, THC terpenes, or combination of any phytochemical? So much more research is required. Next. So cultivation of cannabis plants. Cannabis plants has got a life cycle of 4 months, which is, very good. So in a year, you can harvest 3 times if you work very properly in the field. Next. So cannabinoids content at different growth stages. So the farmer who are growing the cannabis plants should care about at what stage their flowers are giving the high content of the cannabis plant, of the cannabis compounds. Next, please. So there are several factors, like in other crops, there are several factors that affects the cannabinoid content in the cannabis plant. It could be temperature, light, fertilizer, plant variety, plant variabilities, etc. Next, please. So cannabis sativa has been shown to be a very good phytoremediator. That means it absorbs or it accumulates or bioaccumulates the hazardous compounds or the metals from the soil. So it could be used for a rotational cropping system. So once you harvest a crop and then you put the cannabis plant in the field, it will absorb all the bad things from the soil and it makes the soil ready for your next crop. Next, please. So this is very interesting. In the very left-hand side, it shows that cannabis is one of the very less planted plant. But if we look at the far right-hand side, so cannabis is the one that produced the highest amount of the revenue, and which is quite interesting. Next. So talking about cannabis in Nepali culture or the Sanatan culture. So if we all know that cannabis plant was mentioned as one of the king plant in our Vedas, which were like more than 4,000, 5,000 years, at least written 5,000-6,000 years ago. Next, please. So so cannabis plant was illegal in Nepal. It was not illegal before 1973. It used to be, it used to be grown in the western and hilly districts and regions in the Tarai. And Nepal was a hub for the tourists for the cannabis consuming. And Nepal used to get the annual revenue of $100,000 at 1973, which is, quite good amount for that time when the tax system was not very properly implemented. And it was used in Ayurveda, and it was one of the attractions for the tourist. Next. So still in the western rural Nepal, hemp is used as the major cash crop. It's used, the hemp is used as a hemp seeds in different products, and resin is collected from hemp, and then it's also used in fiber and yarn. Next, please. So what happened when cannabis was made illegal in Nepal? Farmers lost their major income sources. The country lost $100,000 revenue in 1973 Now it could be like a billion dollar by now. And a major socio-economic base for the, I mean, the illegalization was one of the major socio-economic base for the Maoist insurgency. And we saw a decrease in tourism, and Nepal lost opportunity to lead the Ayurvedic medical system. Next. So very interesting thing is, so the cannabis is illegal in Nepal, but in the dispensaries around the world, different strains are sold, which are named after Nepal, like Nepali Kus, Nepali cookies, or I mean, there are bunch of names that the dispensaries or the production companies have given here, trying to sell their products. So some of them could be good. I mean, some of them might be real, and some of them might be not real. I mean, but it shows that the cannabis from Nepal has a very big market in the world. Next. So who will be benefited once the cannabis is legalized? Everyone: farmers, industries, cannabis testing labs, pharma, cannabis science research, cannabis users, general public, government. So everyone will be benefited once the cannabis is legalized. Next. So challenges. So there are, of course, challenges in legalizing cannabis in Nepal, in India, and in South Asia. So one is control of market. Our market is very messy, and we don't have the testing labs or the facilities, and we don't. There should be very good federal and state laws established. And the most important thing is there is not enough public awareness. And we have to know that cannabis legalizations means regulation. So the cannabis testing labs are the pivotal in cannabis legalization. So but there are challenges in establishing those cannabis testing labs, which is one is capital. I mean, a single lab could cost like $10 million, not Nepali rupees, not Indian rupees. And we, of course, require very well-trained manpower. And so the picture here shows that, so once the lab tests the cannabis products, so how it works is farmers produce the raw materials, and then it goes to the lab, and the lab tests the raw materials, and then it goes to the production companies, where production companies produce different products and or extract the pure compound like THC, CBD, and make the vape or whatever, and then it again goes back to the cannabis testing labs. And once the cannabis testing lab measures all the compounds present in that product, and also make sure that there are no pesticides, and there are no heavy metals, and there are no microbial impurities, then it goes to the dispensary. So once the customer goes into the dispensary, the customer will know what he's going to buy and what he is going to smoke. So next, please. All right, so that was all about it. So, I mean, we all now know that cannabis is a very important plant economically, agriculturally, and based on the science and medicine. And everyone will be benefited, from students to businessmen to government to general public. So it's at least time to debate about starting, cannabis industry in Nepal and India and in the whole South Asia. Thank you. Thank you. Next. I think, is that all? Hello? I cannot hear anyone talking, so that was the end of my presentation. Hello,
Yes, sir.
hi.
Great. Yes, sir.
Okay, finally.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you everyone. So that was about its cannabis plant. I mean, we have been using our community has been using the cannabis plant for thousands of years, but now when the whole world has legalized it, I mean, we should at least start thinking about legalizing it and just addressing the challenges required to legalize it.
Thank you so much, sir. The world today seems to be divided between either legalizing this cannabis or not. Apart from this, its consumption is in practice since ages and is of immense possibility in Ayurveda as well. Despite this, its abusive usage has been an aspect restricting its legalization so far. So your remarks on the vitality of legalization of this significant plant and the sense of regulation is really insightful in countries like Nepal and India, which can benefit a lot from the raw materials as well as components obtained from this plant in the Ayurvedic aspects. Your highlights on medical, economical, and agricultural importance of this plant is really wonderful. We're really thankful for your inputs towards our event and for your time and efforts. Now we are taking few queries from the audience. I'd like to pass over to Dr. Raitekar to take the questions and help Dr. Aral address them. Over to you, madam.
Thank you, Samishra. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us. This is a time when we can have few questions from the audience. So the
Thank
question
you.
is visible on your screen. So there is a question. You can see, like, as you have mentioned,
Right.
that
Okay.
phytoremediate plant, it is then which major metal can be accumulated by the plant?
Well, so I have to go back to my presentation to look at. I have mentioned what major metals are accumulated by the plants. So I mean, the cannabis plant. So I saw the news or some papers, one paper, I guess, that this plant was even used in accumulating gold in the gold mines in some part of rural Africa. So this plant has got ability to accumulate almost all the major metals or the hazardous metal. But I mean, back in my slide, I have a nice graph of from a literature that what compound or what metal is accumulated in what capacity. So if you could later email me or do, I could give you the details. All right.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. And the one more question is there, that is you in favor of legalization of this plant in all the countries?
Yes, of course. So he's asking, am I in favor of legalizing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I presented saying that, I mean, it's good. Cannabis is a very good plant and it's criminalized unnecessarily by the human. I mean, and there were some political things of the big pharmaceuticals and all those things. But and because when you look at the situation, so what's happening is the brufen that we take when we have a headache. So that has a compound that is quite similar in structure to the THC, you know. So, I mean, when you have a headache or when you have those kind of stresses, the people or our past generations, they used to take some cannabis plants or they used to take all those Ayurvedic medicines. And there was a politics like, I mean, they just banned or criminalized the cannabis plant and all other, and then so that they could sell their medicine. And there was also, I mean, this around 1973, 74, 75, there was a hippie culture. To stop that hippie culture, the Western countries just, compelled the Asian countries or the South Asian countries to ban the cannabis. But I mean, that doesn't mean that we now, when the Western countries are legalizing it, so I mean, we don't have to worry about not legalizing it or I mean, yeah.
He said, the next question is there. What and how it will help to farmers and pharma industry?
Okay, for farmers, they will grow the cannabis plants and they will sell it and make money, right? And for the pharma industry, so you produce several capsules, THC capsules, CBD capsules, and all the medicines from the cannabis plant itself, So, now there are doctors who can refer the patients, cannabis patients with the THC or the CBD or different ratio of THC CBD. So that's a way that pharma industry can be benefited, and so there are medicinal benefit and the recreational benefit. So the medicinal benefit goes to the pharma industry, while the recreational benefit goes to the recreational industry. So yeah, there. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Very quickly, we will have a few more questions.
Okay.
So there is one question by Ms. Dr. Jiba. That is, it is a globally emerging issue. In Nepal, legalizing may bring other misuses as there are less research and lesser monitoring policies. How good it is legalized?
Well, the first thing is there is already enough misuse in Nepal when it is not legal. So it's not the legalization that will bring the misuse, it's the public awareness that will bring the misuse. The other thing is cannabis is not that very dangerous drug. It's even less harmful than the alcohol, because after drinking alcohol, people go and fight in the street, but after consuming cannabis, people go and meditate, at least it's less harmful than the alcohol in that sense. And then this is not as harmful drugs as several other drugs. And that is the one case. And there are, of course, but there are challenges, we don't have all the manpowers for the testing, and we have to have enough capital for establishing that very high complex laboratories and the extraction factories or the industries. So there are challenges, but we will work together to overcome those challenges and make some economy going, make economy growing and make the whole population rich, I guess. But it's good to legalize. The conclusion is.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much, sir. Probably we'll have just last question. This is by Niranjan Kodala. That is, what is the chemical in cannabis which bring appetizing effect, and does it affect differently on different people?
Yes, it does. It's interesting. More researches are going on that. So, even the THC can bring you the appetizing effect on some people, or the CBD can bring the appetizing effect on some people, or when you take the whole extract, so there are several other compounds, cannabinoids, terpenoids, flavonoids, and I already said that there are like more than 100. There are 100 reported cannabinoids. So it could be any compound. So that brings you the appetizing effect. But there are researches going on, and it has been shown from research that THC and CBD both could bring the appetizing effect. And a hallucination effect, as you said in the question itself, the effect is different for the different people. So, the THC is the one that is psychoactive compound, and that might have made you hallucinate.
Yes.
All right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The last question is there any link between the cannabis use and psychiatric disorder?
Well, so people are trying to find links. People are doing research on that, but there is so I haven't seen any publications that have shown the direct effect.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. I think we are running short of time and therefore we cannot
That's
answer all
fine.
the questions. So, but still, we really appreciate your efforts and thank you for answering all the questions. Thank you so much, sir, for being here with us and making this session very interesting and showing us both the sides of the cannabis, like how it can be useful also. Otherwise, we were having some other, repo of the cannabis. So, thank you
Right.
for the beneficial side of cannabis too, and
Thank you.
making.
Thank you, Dr. Resi. Thank you, the whole team,
Yeah, thank
BSN,
you so much.
Nepal, and Sandip University. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Good day ahead. Bye bye.
Bye.
Yes. Thank you all. Now we are moving toward the very interesting session of today's event. And I think this is the much awaited moment where we are going to announce the name of the winners for best presentation. I really appreciate the efforts taken by all the presenters and their great enthusiastic participation and sharing their research work on this common platform. So thank you all the delegates as well as the presenter. Now I request Professor Vasudev Zambre sir and Mr. Nabin Munankarni, who are the conveners of this international e-conference on ETBT 2020. I request them to proceed with the further event.
Namaste. Thank you, Dr. Raitikar.
Okay. Thank you all of the participants and all. Now I'm going to announce one of the most awaited event is that I'm going to announce uh, consolation awards. Actually, we are going to award first five best oral presentation and five consolation awards. Here I am going to announce the consolation awards. The first consolation awards goes to Mr. Bharat College, Nepal. Second is Dr. Sandhya Tambekar, Monje, Civil Language Science College, India. And the third one is Miss Ashwini Bhosale, Sandip University, India. And the fourth consolation award goes to Dr. Hanwa Umar Alia, Ahmedi Bello University, Nigeria. And the last fifth consolation award goes to Dr. Ahmad Ali, University of Mumbai, India. We would like to congratulate all these five consolation awards.
On behalf of Sandip University, Nashik, and Biotechnology Society of Nepal, I would like to congratulate all the consolation award winners. We have five more awards. Those will be declared. Those are for the best presentation awards, and the awards are based on the evaluation done by our judges from external and some internal judges. As you can see on the screen, there are some awards which we are presenting the posters for them, which are already declared by Nabin sir. Dr. Sandhya Vanjari, Consolation Prize. Ms. Ashwini Bhosle, Dr. Hanwa Umar, Dr. Ahmad Ali. Now, I would like to declare the Best Presentation Award, and I would like to start first the fifth award that is declared to Mr. Hitendra Jadhav. He is from SIP Arts, GBP Science, and STKVS Commerce College, India. We have already shown the certification for him. He is ranking fifth position for the Best Presentation Award. And now I would like to declare the fourth position Best Presentation Award that goes to Dr. Myrin D'Souza. She is an assistant professor at Mount Carmel College, Bangalore, India. Congratulations, Dr. D'Souza. Now, I would like to go for the third award, that is Dr. Meenakshi Mahajan. She is associate professor from Ferguson College, Pune, India. Congratulations, Dr. Mahajan. Now it's time to declare the two Best Presentation Awards, number 2 and number 1. Now the number 2 goes to Mr. Asif Majid. He is a PhD student from Central University of Punjab, India. Now it's time to declare the first and the best presentation award that is goes to not from India, that goes to a professor from Nigeria. It's Dr. Abdul Jalal Dajbaba is from Kaduna State University, Nigeria. Congratulate Dr. Abdul Jalal for the Best Presentation Award to this ETBT 2020. Again, on behalf of all both the organizations, uh, School of Science, Sandip University, Nashik, and Biotechnology Society of India, Biotechnology Society of Nepal, I would like to congratulate for all the award winners. And now I would like to hand over to Dr. Namita Raitekar for the further instruction. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Zamre, sir, and congratulations to all the winners. Now, this is a time for the valedictory function. We have Mr. Nabin Munankarni, the convener for ETBT 2020 from BSN. Sir, I request you to deliver the vote of thanks for this international e-conference.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. Um, Thank you. Namaste. This is Navin Narayan Munankarmi, President Biotechnology Society of Nepal, BSN, convener Emerging Trends in Bioscience and Technology, ETBT 2020. This international e-conference was organized by School of Science, Sandip University, Nashik, India, and Biotechnology Society of Nepal, BSN, Nepal. Its theme is Recent Issues and Challenges in Health, Environment and Society, RESES, dated 1st to 3rd June 2020. Let me begin with gratitude to our patron, Dr. Sandip Jha, Chairman, Sandip University, India, and Dr. E.R. Risisa, Academician, NAST, Nepal, and a co-patron, Ms. Mohini Patil, General Manager, Sandip University, and Professor Dr. Rameswar Adhikari, Director, Recast, Nepal. We hope this platform in a real meaning has become a space to bring together the scholars, students, academics, and all from around the world with a common notions of understanding emerging trends in bioscience and technology. I hope this provide a great platform for all of us to share our knowledge, information, our recent activities, our country-based and worldwide activities. And we are thankful to our keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Louis Christopher, for his valuable time input, uh, which has in real meaning glorify the dignity of this event. His lecture on circular bioeconomy in action, maximizing the value of renewable lignocellulosic biomass, was very much intuitive about the possibility of exploring biological raw materials for several fruitful products in an eco-friendly way. Likewise, I would like to thank our invited speaker, Dr. Ramchandran Subramaniam, who specifies and gives information about Napier grass varieties for animal fodder production. Dr. Gopalji Gopal, which addresses role of biotechnology in the management of diseases. Likewise, Dr. Trista Prasai Joshi, who clarify about the recent technologies for the detection of SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus in wastewater. Dr. Niranjan Kodala about the biotech scientist for the promotion of natural products. Dr. Rajiv Pratap Singh about sustainable wastewater management. Likewise, Dr. Ram Prasad Pusal, which addresses about the recent activities, probable potent drug discovery regarding tuberculosis and other molecular and biophysical analysis, and Dr. Niranjan Aryal, who signifies the importance of cannabis in disease treatments and more specifically for COVID 19 treatments. Likewise, our program focuses on oral presentations on the theme topics COVID 19 and pandemics, agriculture and plant biotechnology, bioinformatics and chemometrics, natural product and drug discovery, nanoscience and nanotechnology, bioenergy and environment, bioscience and technology. We categorize our oral presentation into these seven categories, and recently we announced the five consolation prizes and the first top five prizes. I would like to wish their successful career and congratulates once again. And likewise, I also like to thank our colleague, convener, Professor Basudio Chambreri, and we are organizing jointly. So likewise, I would like to thank the organizing committee from India, without which the program would not be possible due to their painstaking hard work, timely work, and technological support. These programs comes in actions and now going to in. So I would like to thank the organizer committee member, Dr. Nisar Resi, Dr. Anup Deshpande, Dr. Namita Retekar, and likewise Dr. Ravi Kiran Pangare, who supports during our activities. And also, I would like to thank our organizing committee from Nepal, Professor Shyam Naran Lab, Dr. Resma Tuladar, and Ms. Samiksha Kodel. Congratulations for the top five winners and consolation. And I would like to request them to contact with us, that is Biotechnology Society Nepal and Sandip University. They can increase their higher level education at Sandip University. They can freely observe the website, and there are lots of emerging trained courses which they can get. And likewise, for regarding biotechnology information and about the Nepal activities and all, they can join the Biotechnology Society of Nepal, follow the Facebook pages and websites. uh, and likewise, we are ready for any kinds of informations. Actually, this is one of the first international e-conference which are conducted in this uh, lockdown condition of COVID. Actually, we utilize the technology, and likewise myself from my home are visualize or delivering speech through the technologies, and hope this technology can be implemented in the biotechnological or biological sectors, and hope these programs successful and provides a good and a dedicated platform to all the interested persons, students, senior professors, and different country level. We do expect similar kind of programs, suggestions, and similar kind of activities in future. uh, Everyone, the participant, can fill this our feedback form, so that we can be in touch with you, and we can go ahead. Similarly, we can do lots of programs. And by saying this much of things, I would like to conclude the international conference ETBT 2020. Thank you. Namaste.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Naveen sir. Thank you so much. I think with this, we can conclude this International E-Conference on ETBT 2020. Please fill the feedback form to get the e-certificate, and you will definitely, everybody will definitely get the e-abstract book as well on their register ID. So with this, we conclude our event. Thank you for giving support from all the corners. Stay safe, stay home. Bye-bye.